The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.
Hello everyone and welcome to the legendary St. Louis Chess Club, where the history is about to be made once again. Over the next 3 days, the world will be watching as great 4 players will be competing in the tournament, the Clutch Chess, the Champions Showdown, for more than 400,000 prize fund. So sit back and enjoy the show together with Maurice, Yasser and Dash.
They are the best chess players in the world, and they've come to the St. Louis Chess Club for a one-of-a-kind Masters tournament, featuring a unique format and a massive prize fund. Magnus, Hikaru, Fabi, and Gukesh are about to clash, and all the action starts right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the St. Louis Chess Club for Clutch Chess, the Champions Showdown. I'm your host, James Dash, and happy as ever to be back in the studio alongside these two great Grandmasters, Yasser, Seirawan, and Maurice. Ashley, it's good to see you both again.
James, fantastic.
What a treat we have in store for us, though,
Truly.
Yasser. 4 of the best the chess world has to offer, about to do battle over the course of 3 days in electric over-the-board action.
Absolutely. That's a perfect way of describing it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live coverage of these Champions Showdown. When we talk about the biggest names in chess, they are here in St. Louis today to do battle. Last night, we had an opening ceremony, opening dinner, and the dinner was wonderful. It was attended by a lot of people. We got to have dinner with Rex, and across the table were the 4 competitors. And the conversation went everywhere, from AI to Red Bull, to sports, and it was amazing. I had no idea that Magnus was such an NBA fan. It was a great time. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, and when I think of who I could invite for dinner in the chess world, that was like, what are we going to do, Maurice, to beat that? That was like a dinner of a lifetime.
Absolutely, it indeed was. You talk about the NBA. I mean, you might decide, let's invite LeBron, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, and KD, and let them just play some ball. Well, that's what you got here. The top 3 players in the world. Oh, and by the way, also the world champion is tagging along as well. This is crazy. This is as exciting as it gets. You're not going to get a better event in the world of chess this year, and we get a front row seat.
We're about to see some fireworks for sure, and it is a star-studded roster of 4 of the world's best when it comes to chess. Let's meet our 4 competitors who are about to do battle here at Clutch Chess, Chess Champions, and we're going to start with none other than the reigning world chess champion. We have Gukesh Dommaraju.
19 years, young and growing fast. He's just coming back from Greece, where he led his team to a gold medal, 14 out of 14 possible points, and he was the gold medalist on board 1, beating a rival Arjun in their head-to-head.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. World champion, welcome to St. Louis.
Stepping off of a plane later in the evening last night. Hopefully he's well rested and rearing to go for the day, but lots of momentum with those double golds coming off the Euro World Cup. But if you want to talk about momentum in 2025, then this is the man you need to be talking about right now. Fabiano Caruana, yes, 5-time U.S. chess champion, with one of those coming just a couple days ago, and that's hot off the Grand Chess Tour Championship that he took only a couple weeks prior. I mean, this guy's on fire, you say.
Absolutely. Well, he won 4, count them, 4 U.S. championships in a row for the modern era, tying a record of Bobby Fischer. And when you're mentioned in the same breath as Robert James Fischer, you're doing something right. And even Fabi, though, he doesn't even think he's peaking.
That's wild.
So this is just great. And he's coming with a lot to prove in this event.
Well, I'll take that then as he intends to peak at this event right here and right now. And you know what? Peaking is going to be necessary when you consider the rest of the competition that he's going up against. The likes of Hikaru Nakamura, one of his countrymen, another 5-time U.S. chess champion, and maybe more importantly, somebody that I look at when you move into these faster time controls. We're looking at 10-5 for the entirety of this event. He is someone that should be feared.
Absolutely. A generational talent, no question about it. One of the greatest blitz players I've ever seen in my lifetime. Bullet chess, ridiculously good. Rapid chess, ridiculously good. And he's coming here with a mission as well.
Without a doubt, looking to prove himself when it comes to the Champions Showdown. But the most titanic figure that the chess world has ever seen is still going to play a major role in this one. Yeah, I see your 5-time U.S. Chess Championships, and I raise you 18 world titles.
He's the baddest man on the planet, no question about it. Magnus Carlsen, 34 years young. And look at that resume. That is absolutely ridiculous. Magnus, welcome back to St. Louis. We've missed you these last few years.
All right, well, let's take a look at the format and what's in store for you at home over the course of the next 3 days. We have 9 rounds, 18 games, so double round robin across those 9 rounds. No draw offers before the completion of Black's 60th move. And as I mentioned earlier, the time controls here are 10-5, so we're moving pretty quick. The scoring, though, is where things get really interesting. Day 1. Everything's all standard. We got 1 point for a win, half a point for a draw, and 0 for a loss. But we're going to up the ante when you get to day 2, doubling those points for wins and draws. But things get particularly interesting on that 3rd and final day because you'll note that the points for a draw don't increase. It's only increased in the win column from 2 points to 3. And I think, Maurice, that's where things are going to get really exciting because of the ability for players to make up ground and the fact that they're really going to want to stay away from draws on that 3rd and final day.
Absolutely. Draws are going to be terrible. This man will not be looking for draws any day he plays, but especially on that last day, as you pointed out, that 1 point for a draw is useless when other players are racking up 3 points for wins. So expect to see a lot of contentious chess on the last day.
Magnus strolling in, and as he does, let's take a look at the schedule. Of course, you're with us here on day number 1, October the 27th, for rounds 1 through 3. But we got 2 more days of action to follow immediately, the 28th and the 29th. Coverage begins at the same time every day around this 11:53 mark Central Time. So don't miss it because we'll get into the action quickly, and it will be fast throughout the day. Magnus already making his way to the table. So, Maurice, let's talk about what's at stake here because we've said massive prize fund. There's a lot of money on the table.
$412,000 to be exact, but it's divided up in different ways. And we can see, okay, first place, 120 grand, not bad. Second place, 90. Third place, 70. Fourth place, 60. Yasser, back in your day, that 60 would be the entire prize fund for the whole tournament.
But not just the prize fund.
So that is absolutely great, mouth-watering numbers. But there's also $72,000 in bonus prizes. We drill down a little bit to see that. And we see that on day 1, it's kind of simple. $1,000 if you win the game, $2,000 on day 2, and $3,000 on day 3. But you might ask, what happens in the case of a draw? Well, they do not split that money. In fact, that bonus money from all the draws will be put into a Champions jackpot, which will grow every round after every draw and will be added to the overall winner's prize. That's going to be a chunk of change for whoever wins this event.
Yeah, so in a world where there were 18 draws, you would have the possibility of the eventual winner walking home with $192,000. Of course, we're expecting to see some decisive victories throughout the entirety of it because every single player is going to want to take home a solid amount of money. We're getting a look inside the studio, and you can see the pairings as the players themselves have already sat down for the beginning of the day. So round 1, it will be Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces in game 1 against Hikaru Nakamura. Then they will flip sides of the board for the second game of the day. On the other board, though, we do have world champion Gukesh up against Magnus Carlsen. Gukesh starting with the white pieces before they flip in the second round, or second game of the day, rather.
Let's start with the game between Magnus and Gukesh as we'll be flipping back and forth. But this will be our first starting game.
Spoiled for choice.
Spoiled for choice.
You can't make a bad decision when it comes to which game, but you would be remiss not to start between these two guys right here.
Well, you've got 10 U.S. championship titles on the other board, and in this board, well, you do have the world champion.
You have 19 world titles.
19 world
18 of them on one side and one on the other.
I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
It's absolutely
Can we just
absurd.
press pause for a second before we start running our mouths? What is this we're looking at? These four superstars in the world of chess. As mentioned, we have world number 1, world number 2, world number 3, and he happens to be world number 9 at the moment, as Jeannie Singfield has rung the bell to start play in Gukesh Dommaraju, and they are off.
And look at this, a perk defense, E4, D6. Here we go. This is my wheelhouse. G6? No. I thought there might be a little twist of Philidor's with E7, E5. Main move here is Bishop C4, and he's done it, and Bishop E7. So a centuries-old defense by Magnus Carlsen, definitely a surprise. Castles. So A2, A4 is very standard in this line of the Philidor. That's C7, C6, and B7, B5 is on Black's agenda. So the move A2, A4 stops that move.
And as you can see, the public is here as well.
I see Benjamin.
They got better seats than us.
Yeah,
even.
exactly. Front row is right. Young boy there, Benjamin, with his father, Brandon, came yesterday to get their autographs of all of the players. Came all the way from Texas as Benjamin's attending his first. Is he the top tournament?
This is your first?
The top
tournament.
tournament.
Man, yeah, you're spoiled. For the rest of your life, everything's going to be compared to this.
What do you do after this? H7, H6.
Okay, so now help me out a little bit when it comes to the way that these two players match up stylistically in a classical game of chess. Where are the strengths and the weaknesses of each of these players that you're looking to either exploit or key into?
You know, the weirdest thing is I think both of these players are really, I don't want to say adaptable, but they're universal. They're comfortable defending. They're comfortable attacking. They're comfortable counterpunching. And they've got great endgame skills, and they calculate extremely well.
Yes.
So, like, what separates them? It's those X factors. I don't even know how to describe it.
Well, but I would say a lot of people would say the separation is the fact that Magnus's ability to intuit what to do instantly without much calculation is afforded him the ability to win rapid events, as we saw the list of world champion rapid events, world blitz champion multi-time. This kind of time control has been a bugaboo for Gukesh, and he has been trying more and more to catch up in that realm. But that's going to be his challenge. People are wondering, will he be able to keep up, especially against people like Naka and one Magnus Carlsen? We'll see if the youngster can keep a pace, and we'll keep our eye on the clock, as he's already down 40 seconds on the clock.
He got surprised out of the opening, but in my interview with Magnus was the first to point out that in the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia, Gukesh was killing it in rapids. He actually fell off the pace in Zagreb because of the blitz.
That was 25-minute rapid, though, right? So
Right.
it's a bit slower.
Than
this is a sort of middle ground.
Right, agreed.
And we hope that he can sustain that excellence here as well.
By the way, I do like this recapture with the bishop as opposed to recapture with the knight. If I recapture with the knight, the pawn on e4 will be instantly attacked by the move knight to c5, and I don't want to play as white f2, f3. Now, here's the big moment, because you would like to play the move e4, e5 and say, okay, even though the position's going to be very balanced at the end of those trades, I'll have an edge in development. But the problem is, no, it's too small an advantage, so the move e7, e5 would not bring white any advantage. Now, this move knight f3 to d2 is fine. I have no complaints about that move. But normally, if you go back in time, players like Paul Benko, Bobby Fischer, others would say a4, a5, gaining space on the queen side is a good way of maintaining an advantage.
And now the knight going to e5 and the bishop dropping back. So this is definitely an unusual setup, a choice by Gukesh to bring that knight to d2. As you mentioned, a5 was, in my mind, the auto move in that position.
And knight d2 was a novelty in that position.
Yes.
Gukesh, so it kind of speaks to what you're both talking about. Your inclination was to go for one. He decides to go a bit of a different way here.
Yeah.
Yes.
A big shout out to Grandmaster Varuja Nakovian, who's helping us in production by keeping track of these novelties and how these players all match up.
He's my lifeline.
Bishop c4 to f1, and I think that's a very, very standard move. The idea is, well, first of all, you're really just getting the piece out of the way of capture. Secondly, there's not that many folks guarding the king side, but there's some kind of, well, you know, it's passive. Let's just put it that way. The bishop plays a defensive role. If the bishop maintains itself on the a2 square, well, it's more aggressively placed, but your king is a little weak.
And there we see a5 on the board, constraining black's position on that side by advancing this pawn. f4 is a move that white would like to play, but it's not possible at the moment because the knight anticipated it and dropped back, and now the bishop coming out to the e6 square. So some space for white. White has to be careful that d5 doesn't happen, but at the moment, he's got that covered. He's ready to play e5 against any advance and shut down the space on that side. Let's just jump very quickly to the other game, because that opening has been very interesting between Fabiano and Hikaru, and the way they came into this position was quite interesting with g6 and e6, yes, in the Sicilian.
No.
This move here, quite curious what Hikaru did, trying to surprise his opponent, and now a knight on e7. That's
very unusual open Sicilian. Very, very unusual. I don't even know what I would call it. It's not a dragon. It's not a Taimanov.
And the move f6? I mean, this is some hybrid stuff going on. What's interesting is he's the one who's down on the clock. He didn't really surprise his opponent much, as he has only 7 minutes to 8+.
That's a good point, because as we're talking about, you know, maybe Gukesh being the one to struggle in the time controls, I would have expected in this matchup Fabiano to be the one typically behind on the clock. And in fact, he's still working with about 8 minutes to his name. Granted, the onus is on him to make the next move in response to this f6 pawn push.
Now, if you were to retreat, bishop e3, Hikaru is ready for the move d7, d5, and it looks like he's kind of equalized, frankly. Let's catch up with what's happened. Nothing has happened. Good
the other
timing
board.
on the switch.
We
didn't miss a single move.
Didn't miss anything just yet, but we can hop back over there just to see
what's happening with Gukesh and Magnus.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am on Gukesh and Magnus, and right now the move bishop e6 has stopped Gukesh, because here's his problem. Let's say we make a pass move, a decent move, g2, g3. Maybe on a good day we want to play bishop g2 and f4, as you mentioned. But then comes this move d5, e5, knight back, f to f4, so we can defend the pawn. But this is a little bit tricky. I'm not sure I'm a big fan. f7, f6 is a rook f5.
Primarily, I'm feeling the little you move the position
G3, away. Sorry. It actually got there.
Yeah, let's play that line out again, because
E5,
what I'm most afraid of in terms of white's position, it's not necessarily that the pawn is an issue, it's that you can't really get in f5 as easily. You're going to have to prepare it. But there is this problem of c5 coming. And in fact, this whole airiness along this diagonal, your king feels a little bit insecure. That's where I feel like there's going to be a tactic that comes up out of nowhere suddenly in this position, or at least some kind of strategic problem. So you're mentioning f6, that's an idea, and then the c5 is an idea, bishop c5, all kinds of possibilities there. And Magnus will be scoping out this position as we go back a couple of moves to where he is right now on the move g3 that just got played, and he
D5.
Did play d5. So
but no e5,
here.
no e5, bishop g2.
That's exactly what we were talking about. The idea of opening up your position and making it a bit more loose with the f4 push, that would have led to some difficulty. So what he wants now, does Gukesh, is just a little bit of space but it's not necessarily that big a deal.
He does at least justify his initial F1 retreat, though, which felt a little strange, at least at a time.
I think he's trying to justify the retreat knight F3 to D2, because there's no question in my mind that the move knight D2 was in conjunction with the move F2, F4. The knight gets out of the way of the F pawn.
Right.
But Magnus kind of shows his ambitions as well with the move bishop B4. He is not trading on E4, takes, knight takes, which I think a lot of people would have done instead, because it's 3 and 3, very, very balanced position. But the move bishop B4 is incredibly ambitious. Gift me the pawn, and at the same time as saying to white, there's a potential for a pin on this diagonal. What are you going to do? Well, Gukesh said, I'm not going to give you that pawn.
Wow.
And Magnus said, whoa, I'm taking on A6, and I'm ruining my queen.
The rook has to come out now.
Yeah, I'm ruining my... Well, here's the trick. The queenside structure has been ruined, and the rook takes A6 is absolutely, absolutely ideal. However, queen to C8 comes with a double tag, hitting the rook and hitting the pawn. And
By
so
the way,
Gukesh
as we jump over to the big board, this move, bishop b4, was so intriguing, I had to explore it, and the engine gives it as a bad move.
Wow.
And so bishop b4, in this moment, you can see the orange bubble. And here, it was possible to trade immediately and then play for this idea. But a6 is also quite a good way to play against what Magnus did, undermining his pawn structure. B takes a6, and e takes d5 played. And Magnus is definitely slightly worse here. Not so significant that he's just busted, but it's definitely advantage white at the moment.
Wow.
Advantage white.
And the clock times is actually surprising for me. 5 minutes for Gukesh. I thought Gukesh was playing quickly. He's actually a minute behind on the clock. Where did the time fly?
A minute behind. I'd say this isn't too dire for Gukesh's standards.
No.
Right?
Oh, no.
Of course, if it's a 1 minute differential and we're down below 2 overall, okay, now I'm starting to get really concerned. But even still, it is now Magnus's turn to move, and he's reduced that differential down below a minute.
There's always, I very, very much, as black, want to play moves like queen d7 or queen c8, ganging up on this pawn on h3. But I'm very concerned that there's going to be a bishop takes f6 the moment this queen moves away. Hence, I find myself attracted to the move knight takes d5 as Magnus. And
fumbles the piece.
A little slow on the knight takes d5, but he did get there. And the players have now reached this position with bishop takes c5.
Well, as we explored that questionable b4 move, I see Maurice back over at the big board now looking at Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana. This is one at a certain point. I saw the eval bar go all the way to a point advantage for white a little bit ago. And Naka has seemed to sort of wrestle his way back into a bit of equivalence.
Yes, well, in this game, as that game proceeds apace, in this game, Fabi traded on d5, did trade on d5, and here he played the move knight b3. Preferable was to gain the knight on f3, but it seems as though now Naka has more or less righted the ship, but still definitely worse in this game. But it is Magnus who's in a bit of trouble in his position, so let's keep our eye on that one.
Yeah, as we go back over to Magnus Carlsen, I'll repeat the same point you made, though, about time. It's Naka who's down on time against Fabiano Caruana, and that's shoe on the other foot. I would have expected it to be the other way around.
Absolutely. By the way, nice preparation by our world champion Gukesh here. Queen c8 with that hit, that tag on the rook as well as the pawn would have been met by the move queen f1, defending both rook on a6 as well as pawn on h3. Hence, queen b5, hit the rook, hit the pawn on b2, Gukesh dropped back with the rook, and now you have these split pawns. Now the question is, are they strengths or weaknesses? If they can't be attacked, they're not weaknesses. So the last move, a7, a5, I believe that Magnus is looking to kind of clamp things down on the queen side with the move a4. And now I'm sitting there saying, this knight on d2, it needs a job. It's got to start performing. So knight to f1, knight to e3, bringing that knight to a better square. I find the queen very well placed on b5. Queen A4, opposing queens, that makes a lot of sense to me as
Gukesh
well.
agrees with you. He says, yeah, that is a well-placed queen. Would you mind trading it?
The thing I'd hesitate about is the move Queen E2. Is that queen going to... I don't like queens lurking in my camp. Is that queen going to do anything suspicious?
Be careful. Queen E2 could be met by B4. Shocking.
Defending the knight.
Defending the knight and going after that A pawn and be a pass pawn in the position. So he has to be mindful of that. And I think Magnus realizes that this move is a test. B4 will come quite shortly if you're not careful. And so he has to be mindful here. He's the only one with weaknesses, real weaknesses in his position, the pawn weakness on A5 and the pawn weakness on D5. So Gukesh is the one that is pressing here.
Yeah, so Yasser, you were highlighting a possible rook move, right? Just saying, fine, if you want to trade, it'll instead be on my terms, and I'll be able to bring my rook, out into play onto the 5th rank. Magnus goes a completely different way. He goes most of the way to that E2 square. We're still going to find a way to attack that knight. Is B2, B4, though, not still an option in terms of protecting it?
Most certainly it is. The problem with Queen E2 is the rook is also protected, so that after the move B4, with the queen on E2, the knight could move with a gain of tempo. So Magnus decided that he's going to drop his queen to D3. He's inviting a line that might go, oops, no, I just caught myself. I was about to put my rook on pre. I was about to play the move rook E8 and allow queen takes E8. Oops, I'll just kind of, shadoob. That's a commentator shadoob, by the way.
Taking a bit of time, though, in this exact moment is Gukesh. And this is the challenge, to find the best moves
play B4
in flow. Knight F1 is actually the top move by the engine. But to find it in flow, you just gave Magnus a minute and a half on the clock. He might be worse on the board, but he's better on the clock. That starts to even itself out as you get down to that panic mode of under 2 minutes, under a minute especially.
Yeah. Okay, what was bad about B4? Because B2, B4 would have won.
A bishop takes B4 was a response. Bishop takes, the bishop is hanging on D4.
So it would have been a trade of bishops. So with just what we are discussing, there was an opportunity here for Gukesh to play the move B4, taking advantage of this pin down the A file and takes. At the end of the day, there's a pass A pawn, but also a pass D pawn. And so that would have been just simply equal. So Gukesh keeping everything together. Knight F1, very, very nice, comfortable defensive move. Again, knight E3 might happen. But for the moment, Magnus has to deal with B2, B4.
And that knight on E3, there'll be a differential between minor pieces. In fact, as you look at all the pieces, the rook on A8 is defensive versus the rook on A2. The knight on E3 will be superior to the knight on G6. The bishop on D4 lords over the bishop on F8. It's not a massive enough advantage to say that white is actually just winning. But look at the clock. We just said a minute and a half edge for Magnus, and knight F1 has frozen him in his tracks, and now he's under Gukesh on the clock.
Melted away that extra time advantage. I was thinking, I'd so desperately want to play the move rook E8. I almost want to play rook to B8, let you take my pawn, and then get over here.
Goodness.
But I mean, that is a step.
For Yasser, Seirawan to give up a pawn is,
I know.
Wow, that's
harsh. Knight E7, knight F. Okay, this knight has got to work.
I was about to ask you, what's the worst piece in Black's position right now? Is it that knight?
There's a lot of pieces that aren't doing great. Like, we might want to play a move like rook A6. Let's just put some. So I'm trying desperately for Magnus to launch a counterattack, and this would be maybe the desirable way. I can't play rook E8.
But look at the clock. This is insane. Magnus spent burning over 2.5 minutes now on one move. The kid played knight F1, and he's been here this whole time.
Yeah, going backwards with his knight. That stopped Magnus in his tracks, didn't it? It's really remarkable. Again, I'm thinking rook A6 because actually the position belies the reality. White's position is ultra solid. The pieces are active and good, no weaknesses, And Magnus is in a position where he's literally being forced to attack. And he's got to bring his pieces into active squares. So I'm looking at rook e6 and rook e1 as his way of getting going. But I'm liking this move knight e3 more and more. That would close the e-file to begin with and maybe even prepare queen d1 and kicking the queen away. Big moments here as the players are down 2 minutes each.
Yeah, by the way, both these players are sporting 98% accuracy through 27
That's
moves.
ridiculous.
That is just absolutely absurd.
I know. I mean, the players today have trained themselves in their accuracy, and look, I mean, it speaks for itself, even though it's only 10 minutes.
It's incredible when one player does a deep think, you think that it gives the other player a lot of time to figure out what to do. But when the player responds with a quality move based on that long think, the other player has to stop as well because he didn't anticipate this solution. And this solution was the best solution. And Gukesh now dropping below the clock. And you see both of them fidgeting. They are now feeling the time pressure.
I'm getting nervous, and I'm not even in the game.
Well, Gukesh he keeps checking in with it. You can see eyes darting to the left-hand side. They're checking in with the clock.
50.
Minute and 45, soon enough. And this is the part of the game where you're looking at your opponent in Magnus Carlsen, you're almost thinking he only gets better from here.
Yeah, here we go. B2, B4, rook E6.
Oh, the rook's
sliding
on that
the rook over,
Isaiah.
just as we expected. And this is what Gukesh should be. What a move. Kicking the queen and introducing ideas. If you go down to B1, then you're doing me a rock-solid favor. Then I can go rook to D1 with a gain of tempo against the queen. And Magnus, he had to anticipate this. So I'm a little bit surprised that Magnus has not played. I thought he had his move already, let's say, in his hand. Let's go. I thought it was going to be queen f5, frankly.
And he wanted to move. He wanted to move because he didn't want to dip below the clock narrative as well. That's such an important part of this game. And he wants to keep that edge. But suddenly he's finding himself below on the clock. He's actually fairly equal. Triple zeros, actually, according to the engine. But he can feel that this is a dynamic situation where he has to play quickly and keep the clock times.
Okay, so
he did play queen f5, hitting the pawn. But I suddenly realized there was a nicer move. You really want to play knight e5, but that bishop will munch. But if he had gone queen e4, captures, it's a very strange and hidden motif there that you could then follow it up with knight e5. That did not happen. We have queen f5. And I'm not going to get too far into the analysis because the moves, James, are going to be coming in super fast now.
Right, but you make something very obvious, right? Which is we've completely sacrificed that a-pawn.
Yes,
and so
that's history.
At a certain point,
and he's taken it.
That's going to be a major thorn in our sides if we can't keep up some amount of pressure.
Yeah, well, a6, a7, not a thorn in our side. We're busted. But we have, Magnus has ideas. One idea is to play rook to e1. A second idea is to play knight f4 and potentially checkmate.
Queen h3 considered a mistake right now after the move queen d1. If Gukesh can find it, queen back will shut down the counterplay.
Defensive move, that queen d1 move.
Yes, but those kind of retreating moves, they are difficult to spot geometrically.
A6.
And he has played a6 instead.
Which is like, you're dreaming about promoting the a-pawn.
But that allows the rook to land on the e1 square, but he's prepared to defend the queen to the knight with the queen.
And I think in this moment, as we see the bar equalize, we have to hop to the other game because Fabiano Caruana, again, we talked about momentum coming off of his two most recent massive victories and into this one. Take a look at that. Absolutely trouncing Hikaru down the stretch.
Right. Oh, my gosh. Let me just bring that game.
Yeah, I see it here, and it's a massive winning advantage. Hikaru just blundered with the move bishop a6 a couple of moves ago and allowed a monster queen exchange, queen to c5. And this is an ugly ending. All your pawns are on white squares in this position. The bishop is going to be a major problem as Fabi will bring his king up and push that pawn as well. This is completely winning.
Wow. Completely winning. I'm sure when Hikaru went into this bishop ending, he underestimated the reality there. If you don't mind, I'm just going to flip back to Gukesh because I saw this move rook E1 land on the board, and I was thinking to myself, you've got to defend this knight. Queen came to B5, but check out Magnus's move. This is an extraordinary move. Woo!
That's a monster shot. Give it a double exclamation
Wow.
by the engine and down to only 13 seconds.
With 13 seconds, how do you respond to a move like that? That is just wild.
He doesn't know what to do.
You
He's
have
got
to
only
find
7
something.
seconds on the clock.
Okay.
And now he's brought his queen back.
He had to defend because that knight, if you take the bishop with the bishop, bishop c5, knight e5, knight f3 would have won the game for Magnus. Bishop, queen back to d3.
And Magnus knows he has a ton of time on the clock, but he seems very casual, playing with his rook at the moment in his hand, and now reaching, and he's not really sure what to do, and he's traded.
Bishop takes, I thought he was going to play rook to a1 after trading bishops, which he has done, because that's a criminal right there.
Gukesh defending on the back rank now.
Okay, now rook a2. Just kind of lurking around.
But that loses right now. Knight h4 wins on the spot.
Knight
h4
f4
is crushing. And
he finds it.
No, Knight f4 is actually not the best move.
Oh,
it
that's
was
a
Knight
miss.
h4 that was the move. This one allows the move knight to e3, which is
2 seconds though.
insane. But
And he's resigned.
And he
he's resigned in a
resigns.
drawn position.
No, he lost on time. I beg
Oh, he
your
lost
pardon.
on time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were just a second behind on our
All right, let's get
screen.
to the next game. Let's
we
get
got
to
to
the
go
next
straight
game.
over to the other game just to see this one come to its conclusion. Again, a winning position here for Fabiano Caruana. Of course,
Yeah.
Hikaru is still going to put as much of his defensive prowess on display to try and hold this one, but it's looking dire.
Absolutely. Well, he's a pawn down to begin with, and I think that this pawn, unfortunately, is really passive. That's powerful. It's going to mean that Black's king is going to remain absolutely passive, at least stuck, babysitting, if you will, this pawn. And the clock times on the players is very half a minute each. Okay, so bishop e2, bring the king to d3, and that's all she wrote. That's a winning move. That move g2, g3 is just a winning move. Bishop e2, and I just don't see any way of
But yeah,
play.
so bishop e2, bishop c6, and then try to bring the bishop to e4.
Because the king d3, bishop
You have to
d5
stop
check.
king d3. Although I'm thinking he has to balance also king c2, king b3. So there's going to be 2 threats he has to deal with. Either king
Goes a
d3.
step further.
Look at this little finesse. He brought his bishop, okay, to d1. Why is it not on e2 and the king can go to c2? Okay, slowly. So he's saying, I'm going to play the move h5. I'm also going to play the move h6.
And your
And
king's
then
got
I'm
to
going to
leave
go
the defense.
h7. Correct. Then your king's got to leave the defense of the f5 pawn, and then my king is going to go up the board.
He's not clear, though. He's just retreated his bishop to c2,
So
threatening to bring...
no
not,
choice
not
here
at this
for
exact
Hikaru.
moment threatening to bring the king up because of bishop e4 check. But Naka said, I'm not going to allow that to happen. Let me go back to
There
that
it
plan
is.
of pushing the pawn.
This is the winning plan. We're going to push this pawn all the way to h7 and force the trade of the h pawn. Oh, here we go. h5, h6.
There it is.
He's done that.
One more.
Bishop. Oh, that's a different. Beautifully timed. G4 and G5.
G5 check would have done the do there, yes.
Yeah, nice.
But hold on. Yes, you have to
And that's it.
undermine
There it
the
is.
pawn.
Wow.
Fantastically done by Fabi.
Beautiful technique. G takes f5, and that wins the piece because you got h7 on the very next turn. 2 decisive
Two
games to
games in.
start the champion showdown.
And that's already $1,000 going into Fabi's pocket and $1,000 going into Magnus Carlsen's pocket as well with his victory over Gukesh. Let's listen in.
Yeah, sure. No, without H5, I'm sure it's a draw. But after H5, it's just all the enemies.
They only get 5 minutes now to press pause before they play their second game, as does Magnus and Gukesh. Magnus and Gukesh will actually come back early because they finished earlier as well. But here goes this very critical moment in the game that lost Gukesh the game. He did not know what to do, but we have to look at this because he played this move, rook to d1, which was a massive mistake. And Magnus replied with a mistake that looked like a winning move. It just looked amazing, this move. But it turns out that here, right now, you could sacrifice your queen with this move. Guard the mate, and then take the rook. And suddenly
crazy.
that A pawn is the key. If the queen comes back home, take this one, and this knight and this rook support that pawn, and white is actually drawing in this position with best play. This is insane. The way he should have played, Magnus, was not to put the knight on f4, but instead to put the knight on h4. And now you cannot play knight to e3
Checkmate.
because knight f3 is mate in one.
Wow.
This position, Gukesh did not realize his solution, and as you said, lost on time.
And that's where the time bit him, right? He only had about 10 seconds to evaluate that entire position, and there weren't very many easy ways out of it. So unfortunately for him, he will fall down in game number one. Let's take a look at the standings through one game apiece from each of our players. There you have it. Decisive victories, 1 point to Magnus Carlsen, 1 point to Fabiano Caruana, as well as $1,000 bonus money to each of them. Sitting on zeros for Hikaru and Gukesh, as they will be flipping to the other sides of the board for a quick rematch against their first round opponents. And again, we'll be playing a double round robin throughout the day, so plenty of room to run.
I need a defibrillator already.
I felt the very same way.
I think we've got paramedics on standby just in case.
Oh, my goodness. And as we said, every 5 minutes the players play. It's automatic. Every 5 minutes in the interior matches.
Right.
Round 2 will be a 15-minute break, but right now they are underway while Fabi and Nako will join us momentarily.
I got to tell you, Magnus is feeling it. Sometimes when you just start the tournament successfully, you got to St. Louis, you don't know what form you're in, and Magnus is going to feel great about the game he just played, because you were talking about the accuracy to begin with and winning with the black pieces to start a tournament, especially one like this. That feels great. We've got the Catalan with bishop b4 check. Knight d2, very well-known move, of course, but still not the most popular. Bishop d2 by far is played more often than this knight d2. Bishop g2. Whoa. a5, a4. Well, first of all, as an answer to knight d2, a5 is a little bit rare, not exceptionally so, but a5, a4. This is a bit of a different wrinkle for me in this century-old opening. a3.
Okay, so we want to stop any further advancement, also kick the bishop out.
Originally, the bishop retreated. Gukesh retreated his bishop to d6. At least that's the way it appeared on my board. And then suddenly it went back to e7. I was thinking, bishop d6?
What on earth?
What is going on? Okay, knight c6. And we are in a very different type of a Catalan than what I'm used to. White's usual setup is to play rook to d1 and e2, e4 in these positions.
Now, what are we trying to achieve with something like a4? When the king is already safely castled on the other side of the board. It has grabbed a lot of space, but as more pieces fall off, we can kind of see how that either becomes, as we say, it's either a strength or a weakness later down the line.
Before you get into that, let's just take a note. The other game did commence. The players did come back as there was not much of a separation, but they're just starting out in this one. We already see something of the makings of a potential King's Indian or Grunfeld. Fabi is just showing his versatility these days. He's showing off pretty much. I can play anything I feel like playing.
I feel that's a flex. I can play any. Ooh, f2, f3.
An invitation to the same-ish lines. And Fabi said, okay, welcome. You can have all that center if you want to. I am ready to play here as well. And he's playing quickly.
Look at this. And with bishop g5. So it's not an Averbach system with the bishop on e2, but it's the same-ish with the bishop on g5. As keeping an eye on the game between Magnus and Gukesh, the players have not moved for a little while, so we can kind of linger here on this one.
Yeah, we have that classic c5 push from the King's Indian defense.
And just whipping out the moves. Fabi is so impressive these days with forcing players. When he makes it to the candidates, he's going to say to them, you're going to have to prepare for everything.
That was like for Bent Larson. So he could play everything. So in these positions, oftentimes you see an h6. Bishop takes h6 will fall for knight takes e4, and a queen h4 check situation. I played the system a lot when I was white, so this is something I can keep my eye on. I'm going to turn back to the Magnus game, if you don't mind, for just a second.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we've got. Well, when we left it, we saw the move bishop to d7, and of course, what else to do? You got to play e2, e4. There was a trade. Why did Gukesh play a5, a4? So that he has a square. He's got an outpost for his knight, and it's a very beautiful outpost, one might say. Queen e2, defending the pawn on c4, preparing the development of the bishop. Now, for those of us who play the Catalan, that would be me included, we love the opportunity to play the move knight to e5. We would have loved that, and so that was why Gukesh immediately shut that down, which begs the question, why didn't Magnus play knight e5 immediately? Just, that would have defended the pawn on c4. It would have opened up the diagonal. Maybe a missed opportunity. We'll see about that. Queen e2, and if Gukesh can play the move knight b3, which he's about to do, bishop f4 on the board, knight to b3, rook to b1, I think he will accept the outcome of the opening. He will feel that he's equalized because his knight is so beautifully anchored on the b3 square.
Certainly some space for white, as you mentioned, this anchoring of the knight on b3. But white still has those center pawns that he'll be looking to see if he can advance with a move like d5 at the appropriate moment, not so that black will liquidate the position, but to just gain more and more space as he goes down the board. His rook on b1 does leave a poor impression at the moment, so that will take a little bit of time as well, as black will try to flex with bringing other pieces into the game, dealing with this d5 threat.
Exactly.
But he is pausing here, and every time I see Gukesh pause, I'm thinking, I don't know, those seconds they tick away later. Magnus looks very calm, though.
He's looking to the stars right now.
The way I see it is, as white, I desperately want to play the move knight e5. The problem is I don't want to allow the exchange of bishops. After a move like rook a5, it's very common in the Catalan that you drop your bishop back to f1 or even the h3 square, so that your very next turn you're ready to play this leap knight e5. Now in this case, thanks to the knight being on b3, it might require further preparation. But guess what? How did he not? He resisted the temptation of knight b3. Instead, Gukesh played bishop f6 at once. I don't understand the hesitation behind not dropping the knight on to the b3 square. Bishop f6 on the board.
Is there any value in trying to use my d pawn to get that light squared bishop off of that diagonal?
The first question is, like, are we playing here the move knight e5 or knight d4? I don't think so. Knight takes e4. If we recapture, and let's just say on a good day we get this. This is not exactly what you're aiming for, and I'm playing badly for black too, by the way. I could have included the move rook e8. So I don't see the move d5 as a threat. It's still going to require more preparation.
It needs more support.
Yeah. Queen to d3, not exactly ideal either. Magnus could have played, instead of queen e4 to e2, he could have played queen to d3 if that was his intention, playing for d5. I think Magnus is going to need something else. Maurice?
And note, though it's a mini match, they're playing against each other.
This is the first round. A round is considered white and black for both players.
But you can't really consider it a mini match because there's other jokers playing on the board, picking up points.
Right.
So you can't say, oh, yeah, at least I beat this guy in the mini match. And Fabi wins 2 and says, oh, congratulations, you got only a win and a draw. So it's not like Magnus, or at this moment in time, is going to think, I just need to beat him in this set. No. That doesn't do anything for you. Get as many points as you can, whoever you're playing against. So Magnus is definitely not looking for a draw here. He would like to win the game, and there's d5.
Wow.
On the board. This is the move that we said was what he'd be aiming for.
That worries me, though. Yeah. Worries me when I see a grandmaster go with the move that I suggested.
Well, here's the question. What's the follow-up? You got to take, and there's no question that I don't think you back off in this position. I don't think you play this move, bishop to d7. Rather, you capture it, and this is what Gukesh is feverishly looking at. What does he have as an answer to bishop takes d5? Is there a way that white can exploit the pin?
Do we just retreat our knight?
Well,
I would retreat to...
Let's have a quick look at something else. Rook takes, queen takes. Where could this guy, where's my brilliant discovery?
There's no target.
There's
What's your target of the discovery here?
You know, oftentimes the queen is on c2 in such positions, and knight to g5. No, I don't see that. Rook takes d5, okay, so bishop takes d5. So give me a move, guys. If I play knight e5, c6, okay, maybe we just trade and just play something.
No, the eval bar is showing that there is nothing here for white in particular. So it's up to Gukesh now as he spends a minute and a half on this position right here, right now, to say, do I smell a rat?
What am I?
That's Magnus Carlsen we're talking about. Can I just take this pawn?
No grandmaster likes to walk into a pin, and this is definitely walking into a pin. But if Magnus can't exploit it, the very next move is going to be c6, supporting the bishop.
He's literally looking. I mean, he spent a minute and a half now looking at this position, and he may spend another minute and a half trying to figure out, can I take on d5? By the way, if we switch to the other game, Nakamura,
He did it.
Wait. He did take on d5. So let's stay right here, right now. He decided.
Magnus kind of looked a little bit disappointed that he took the, and he's followed it up with knight e5.
So both of them finding the best move in the position.
c7,
c6 is the only move now.
And Magnus is about to take, which I thought he would. But now the question is queen b5. There you go. Okay, so this is what Magnus had in mind. I'm hitting pawn number 1 and I'm hitting pawn number 2. Can you defend both?
But even, I'm thinking to myself, even if I lost the D pawn, which I'm up a pawn, so okay, if I gave that back, and I lost the B pawn, there's compensation for black with a knight sitting on B3 and potential B2 pawn hanging as well. So even in that worst case, this should be fine for black, but 100%. I think Magnus is just playing with the little bit of something he has in the position.
Well, maybe there was nothing in the position to be had, though. Maybe you just play knight c6 here, and we go, okay, let's just trade off all the pieces in the middle of the board. I think Gukesh actually came out of the opening okay. Magnus's move, I don't think the move by Magnus, queen e2, was very good. Shall we look at the most direct, though? Knight b3. Rook takes. What else? Your rook is hanging. 2 rooks for a queen? How do we feel about them apples?
That's okay. That's not bad.
It's interesting, right?
It sure is.
Takes,
the only thing is, one of those pawns hangs.
Takes. Now you're threatening f7.
Correct.
Takes. Now we're back. Now you said to me, that b2 pawn, with the knight on b3, it ain't going anywhere. It's
hard to disrupt this position at all, in fact.
Yeah, it looks pretty fortressy here for Gukesh.
Okay, but
That's one line.
Yeah, but it's fortress and
time now.
Right.
This is the
5
key.
minutes.
Could we switch over? Because we'll see what he does in a second in this one. But the other game is rich.
Okay.
And he has to put his knight on b3, in fact. But the other game is so rich. I mean, we see so many trades on that board. But this one, we see that they proceeded apace with some thematic moves, but it looked as though at some point, Fabi, that pawn on h6 was a tricky pawn to have pushed. He could have captured it, and now we get this position here that is full-scale King's Indian.
Chaos.
That's a good word. Chaos.
It is just chaos.
And now f4.
I love these positions for white. Remember a game I had with Gary Kasparov was on the white side for such a position. But whenever, I want to emphasize this, whenever my opponent played the move b7, b5, I was making en passant. A5 takes b6. And it's extraordinary to me the creativity of Hikaru not to capture that pawn on b6, but to put the knight on b4.
Could we switch real quick because Gukesh
Magnus
played an amazing move just now. That last move after rook d5, we were giving up our queen for 2 rooks. Look at the move he just played. If we just go one move back, right here, he said, you want my queen? You can have it. Go right ahead. Rook to a5.
Bam.
A counter shot through the queen to the rook on d5. So now we will see queens leave the board, but under Gukesh's terms in this position, and Magnus has frozen in his tracks after seeing that fantastic move.
He's looking askance at that. Where did you come from? Where did you come from? And let's just take a quick gander. Takes with a check. Nothing doing here. You're not going to be able to play knight d7 and rook e8 checkmate. We can take that knight for one thing, and I don't think that minor piece endgame is anything for Magnus. And I think Magnus missed the move rook a5, frankly. And
We did too.
Great. Well, speak for yourself. What do you mean we?
I didn't hear you suggest it. Well,
And
we'll
here we
see
go,
all of
rook
that
e1.
play out.
Down to the line right here.
Now, Gukesh is under no obligation to take that knight. I see your threat, says Gukesh. I can defend that. Rook to d5, very decent move.
Very decent. Why give up that powerful bishop on the diagonal?
Which is beautiful. Now, the dream move, what you really, really want to play is g5. And you really want to say, okay, check, king g7, and take that bishop and plant a pawn on f3. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to get it. You can have some of that, but not all of it.
I would anticipate the move rook d5 here to go into those lines. But Magnus also realizes that he doesn't have much.
He's looking up like, okay, we got another game coming up soon.
He's ready for this one to end. Let's move on to the next. And so while we do wait for the move on this one, let's hop to the other board because things are starting to slip a little bit here for Fabiano Caruana. And actually, right as we get there, we'll see the eval bar move all the way up to a near 2-point advantage here for Hikaru.
Okay, we're joining the game of Hikaru and Fabi. It looks to me like Fabi has underneath 4.5 minutes to 5. So a significant time edge, almost a minute for Hikaru. And we just saw this nice counter shot, h3. Now, the question is, just a second, can I play the move e4, e5 and win material? The queen is hanging because you'd love to play the move e5 and e6 and take this bishop on g4, but the queen on d2 is hanging.
I think we just need to get both of our rooks stacked, right, in order to support that e-pawn push?
That would be a slower way to play. That's a logical way to play and a slower way to play. Rook e3 with the idea of doubling rooks is an excellent idea.
Look,
in fact.
Hikaru
is looking for concrete things because he wants to play this move e5 and see what happens there. But he does have to be concerned by his king side being shattered. He'd rather not have to take on g2 with the king and allow this to happen. So he is not thrilled by this moment, his rook on f1 being trapped. That, again, accentuates the idea you mentioned there, James, the idea of rook to e3 to allow for him to leave the pawn on the g2 square. It's going to take him some time, but I have the feeling he's going to find that as he looks at the lines that are more aggressive, but he looks a bit despondent at the moment because he feels like this counter shot h3 has disrupted his flow, but he can play rook to e3 here.
You've got to appreciate how Hikaru never leaves anything to your imagination when it comes to his emotional state.
He
wears his
emotions
heart on his sleeves.
Absolutely. Yeah, but there are a lot of trumps from White's perspective, too. He's got this beautiful outpost c6. Then the a6 pawn is perpetually in need of protection. Bishop can drop back to d4. Gift me the knight. The idea of bishop to d4 is to go queen to c3. g3. Okay, this is what Hikaru has been calculating. Whenever I get a trade on g7 at the end of the line, I'll have a queen d4 check picking up. So Hikaru is saying the pawn on e4 is taboo. Don't even think that you can get away with a pawn grab.
But he's also sacrificing an exchange to the move bishop to g2.
Okay, this is what he's considering. Bishop to g2, queen to c3. Give me this diagonal. Takes, pause, because I got
And the bishop is on g2 and the queen is on c3.
Yeah, they're following our analysis. Now, big moment right here. I mean, okay.
We're going to get out of the way.
Fabi said, no. Bishop takes f1, bishop takes f6. My king is too exposed. Let me trade bishops. Knight h5, big time move right there.
He has resolved the problem himself and saying, how do you resolve the problem yourself on that square? And now
Bingo.
White has to play for compensation.
Exactly.
In this moment.
Exactly. So bishop takes g7, knight takes g7, queen f6, just posting up, eyeballing this pawn. But that is an exchange. Bishop takes f1, king takes f1, knight h5, potentially just driving the queen away.
Wow. I don't see how you resist taking that rook at the moment, but he does want to eject the queen. The thing, though, is the pawn on a6, okay, maybe the rook can leave because you can play rook back to a8 just in case. But I'm looking at pawns that need to be protected. The one on a6, the one on d6, the one on h3 as well. Naka sees that he's getting somebody for his troubles. It's not like you're going to keep all of them together. And he has this beautiful space advantage with his pawns in the middle and the ability to put a knight on c6.
Absolutely.
Seems like a lot of compensation right now. And Naka feels, look how calm he looks, like, yeah, it's not the ideal world, but I think I resolved most of this.
Exactly. I also like the fact that Fabi is delaying playing bishop takes f1. It's not like the rook is moving away. Knight h5, queen g5, an intimation that e5 isn't my only threat. There is the potential of f4, f5, followed by knight to g4.
That knight g4 looks saucy, by the way.
Doesn't it? I mean, their compensation's beginning to look a little bit more. Ooh, wait a minute.
Okay.
I don't know if I like that move.
What don't you like about it?
Well, you're just inviting, James, I can resist everything except temptation. If you're gonna allow me to check you, I'm starting to look at knight g4 and queen h6 check, followed by f5 as a potential game winner.
By the way, the other game is petering out very quickly to an equal rook and pawn ending. So we are in the right place. And f5.
That's not
on the board.
Okay, if the move king g7 had the intention of playing f6, if the king went to g7 with f6, f5 put a kibosh on that because f5, queen takes g6.
So what is the exact threat? Knight g4, queen h6, and maybe f6?
F6 is definitely...
No, but it's not because I could play queen takes
whatever it was,
g4.
he didn't find it.
No,
Look at this eval bar. This game is balancing on a knife's edge right now, from a 1.5 point advantage in one direction to a 1.5 advantage in the other direction in one move.
In one move. That was a big move. Queen back to d2. I can't understand why Hikaru did not continue his attack, aggressive attack with knight to g4. He dropped back and now takes, at this moment, Fabi's a rook ahead, but the queen is hanging.
There are problems also on the diagonal that may crop up in a second if a knight lands on g4 and queen c3 or queen d4. Still, that knight g4, queen h6 idea is popping up as well. And suddenly...
Clock times.
And Fabi has to pay careful attention because this is highly problematic with all this complexity in the position.
You just want to play queen f6 and hang out and protect the king.
Good luck.
With this move king g7, after the move knight g4, the queen can't hang out.
No, the queen
I don't like the king on g7.
And this is the compensation that Naka was looking for. He can
Long time ago.
He can just take the bishop. He can also think about knight g4. You know that's what he's thinking about. There's also queen d4. He has so many moves at the moment.
I'm playing rook takes f1 with those intentions of what you just said, queen d4.
All of the above.
And by the way, you mentioned after the move rook takes f1, there's a peshki, queen d4 check and knight take. Oh, and that game
this
is
one, as we suspected, is a draw.
As we would expect. Once
Nice.
these two superstars get down to a rook and a few pawns apiece, you're rarely going to see anything in indecisive fashion.
Ooh, this is a move I didn't want to play as Fabi because that is just inviting a very nasty pin. Queen d4, ideas of g4, g5 abound. Whoa, how do you resist how do you resist playing the move queen d4? Queen f4, says Hikaru. Ideas. There's an X-ray attack along the f-file, something like takes and takes on.
But this is a nasty position to defend, though.
With less time.
Now he's trying to
E5.
give away an exchange. Please take my rook.
No way.
I need you to just get rid of this pressure that's building in the position. But
I'm taking pawns. I'm taking that pawn on g6. I'm taking that pawn on h3. I'm tickling that knight on f6 thanks to the rook and the queen's power on the f-file.
yeah, that rook can always be taken, and that knight is way too strong. But as you mentioned,
Check
it's
this
just
one
start
out.
grabbing stuff, and ooh.
Knight could come on a good day to g5, to e6. Ooh.
Oh, this is delish right now.
Pressure in the position, but
Hikaru.
now pressure on the clock.
But that's the thing, too. Hikaru had almost a 2-to-1 advantage on the clock, and then he just sat for a minute. Here it is.
But Hikaru could have
I know.
3 seconds
That's
left.
true.
And make it look like 3 minutes.
It's a
I was gonna say,
luxury.
you give that
So
man
we're-
5-second increment, he could go all day.
all day.
All day.
All day.
Knight takes h3, or is he looking at knight g4 for whatever reasons? I don't know. Knight takes
Nope, there he
h3.
goes, snacking on that pawn.
Yeah, grab it
and
up.
as you mentioned, that knight could end up on g5. It could also eventually end up on f4.
Well,
this is
alert,
currently
alert.
a threat at the moment.
Alert,
As
alert.
a knight on f6 is hanging, so you'd expect the rook on a8 to come into the game at some point. He is down a pawn, is Fabi, and then he could lose his exchange. So at any
There
moment,
we go.
Naka could take
Now-
that rook.
Now we can take the rook and even plant a knight on g5, but I'm thinking taking the rook, dropping back with the queen, just to make sure there's no sudden jumps on the diagonal. So knight takes e5,
There it goes.
queen
There it is.
f2, with the idea of maybe even a queen b6 as well as a knight g5. This looks, queen h4. Sorry, that was a different approach.
And the engine does not like
Doesn't love it.
this move, even though he is up a pawn. This one, remember the pawn on a5. The pawn on a5
Right.
is hanging at the moment.
Yeah. I was thinking queen f2 so we could play queen b6. James,
Well,
jump in.
I mean, I'm just
Check.
looking at, okay, if I'm bringing my queen to the h file, it's because I want to infiltrate. But we can just block with our knight, right?
I don't
Jumping
like this
forward.
move. I think knight g5 was so serious. He should have played knight h7.
Yeah, now he has
He
also
should have
abandoned
played.
the ability to take the pawn on a5. He has wasted a check, essentially.
And inviting knight g5.
And he has to
This
play
is
knight h7
terrible.
anyway.
Yeah, he lost a whole
35
tempo.
on the clock as well here for Fabiano. So with his back against the wall, he doesn't have much time with which to work.
For those of you joining us late, Bobby won the
Ow,
first game.
knight to h7.
Yeah, but the queen was much better placed on c7 a moment ago than it is on c5. Anyway, there is a rook trade sighting, followed by knight g5 right here, right now. And we just say, hey, queen and pawn endgame with a knight, with a queen on g5. So I'm looking at knight g5, queen g5, gift me the pawn on e5.
Looks like a solid way to play.
Yep.
Naka checking it out. But those queen and pawn endings,
They're
they're
terrible.
notorious for being very difficult, and he has avoided that trade. He said, I can
Wow.
win this one too. He has to be concerned about Black's ability to play b4 and c3. He has his own passer, does Black, so that's potential there. And queen over to d6. Both sides now under a minute.
Oh.
And now we're back to the move I wanted to play some time ago. A move I wanted was the queen on f2, so I could go queen check and queen b6. That move, queen b6, is nasty. I like what you were saying there, b4, c3. But look at the clock.
15 seconds.
Look at the clock. b4. Oh, he's played queen c7,
Oh.
inviting queen b6.
Queen b6 is a monster
A
shot
monster
here.
move.
And stopping to
with-
think is
With both hands, I'm playing queen
Naka,
b6.
because the thing is, he sees a knight can go to d7. He sees the knight could go to d7 and maybe slow down those pawns. So it's a bit surprising. He's got that in his head that he does not want to trade queens, and instead he's repurposed his piece.
Queen a3 stops the move b4, and I think the intention behind the move knight g4 was to prevent knight d6, but he has done it anyway. Queen, there's a check,
Oh no, he missed that check. That's devastating.
That is a devastating.
The g-pawn is going to...
No, it's a queen.
Oh
it's a
no,
skewer.
it's a hole.
And then
yes,
you have
he's being
it.
skewered, and that is the game.
That's it. 1-1.
Right there, you can see a bit of the frustration perhaps on Hikaru's face. The players are going to talk about it, but equalized.
Yeah.
This matchup, 1 point apiece.
Ooh. Coming back, Hikaru with the white pieces.
Round will start at 1:15.
I mean, and how about that? Even in the victory, still dissatisfied, right? With not making it the cleanest possible victory it could have been.
Absolutely. We are perfectionists, Maurice.
Yes, and of course, they have 15 minutes from this moment right now before the next round starts, because after every round, which is 2 games, 2-game mini match, they get 15 minutes. You can see Naka's look there. He's not too thrilled with the way he's playing, but he did manage to tie the match in that mini match at any rate. But let's first take a look at the current standings, and we do have a leader.
Ooh, and wouldn't you guess? It's none other than Magnus Carlsen. With 1.5 points to his name, it was a draw in that second bout between him and Gukesh. So Gukesh will get his first points onto the board, but no bonus money just yet. Of course, we do have a decisive victory between Hikaru and Fabiano. So Hikaru now stacks another cool $1,000 into his bonus money column.
And the bonus money for the draw goes into the jackpot.
Oh, yeah. And we'll show you that in just a little bit. But don't worry, that's going to the winner of the entire event on the end of day 3. Let's back over to Maurice at the big board here.
Yes, this moment, of course, just to show the conclusion for those who weren't really following along or didn't see why did he resign. Well, obviously, right at this moment, you have this check, and the queen is going to drop. Fabi made some real errors here in this moment when this move, queen h4, was played. It would have been much better to play this immediately. Keep an eye on this pawn on a5. Instead of wasting the check with queen c5, he had his counterplay too, b4, c3. That kept Naka transfixed, why he didn't trade queens quicker because he felt like that would be a problem. But this move would have kept him in the game instead of wasting a check. And you want to make sure any check you make is really substantive and really necessary. Don't just do it because you may be wasting it. And we saw him do it in this game. But still, this game was extremely rich. This kind of position right here,
roller coaster of a game.
For example, how do you evaluate? I mean, yeah, on the board like this one,
chaos.
A bishop on g2?
Chaos.
The other player's bishop sitting on g2. Pawns. It's very easy to imagine even these kind of superstar players making mistakes from this position.
An absolutely wild bout. A couple of heavyweights throwing haymakers at each other, and we wouldn't want it any other way. We are going to go to a quick break, but before we go, we're stopping by with Anastasiya, who's standing by with Danny Wrench, CCO of Chess.com, to talk to him about his new book, Dark Squares.
Chief.
Thank you so much, guys. Yes, you're right. I'm here with Danny Wrench. Welcome, Danny, to our show. Dash just said that you're Chess Chief Officer of Chess.com. It's really nice to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Danny, I have a different idea for this interview. If you don't mind, can you please close your eyes and imagine the chessboard? What if I ask you some squares and you will tell me if it's dark square or light square? So imagine f6.
Dark.
Dark. If we speak about c7.
Dark.
If we go all the way to g8.
White. Light.
Right. And then we go to c2.
White. Light.
Exactly, yes. We always use words like white and light. Thank you so much, Danny. I just wanted to show that good chess players can do it so easily. They can just blindly name the squares, if it's dark or if it's light. And here we have your book, which is called Dark Squares. And my congratulations with your book. And I just wanted to ask you, like in life, can we easily understand if the squares are dark or light?
Well, that was quite the segue. Didn't see that coming, but and it's a good question. I think it's probably a lot easier to tell what the dark squares and light squares are on a chessboard than it is in life. That would be my answer to that.
Exactly, and now we can see this beautiful video from Q Boutique. Yesterday at the Chess Hall of Fame, you were signing the books for those who wanted to have them signed and who have already read
That was a lucky fan there named Yasser Seirawan. He was so lucky.
Yes, he is very happy about it. And I was also so lucky to have my book signed. It's here. I'm halfway, but I already love this book. Danny, I think you did a great job, but tell us a little bit about it and what is it about for all chess fans?
Yeah, so contrary to maybe what some are still wondering, it's not a chess book, although it is heavily about chess and the chess world. It's a story of how I grew up. I grew up in a spiritual collective that I have come to realize with lots of years was a cult, and a lot of things that happened in my childhood that were traumatic oddly put me on the path to chess.com and everything that I do now today in the chess world. So it's a story of my relationship with this cult that I grew up in. It's a story of my relationship with the cult leader, with my mom, and ultimately sort of figuring out my life through that stuff on the way to chess.com, and also has the behind the scenes of my side of the biggest scandal in terms of cheating anyway in chess. And so it's got a lot to it.
Speaking about also the scandal and also the fact that St. Louis, it happened here in St. Louis Chess Club, and we are here right now in the new brand, reopened St. Louis Chess Club. What place the club has in your book and in your heart?
Well, the club has a special place in my heart. I think it has a special place in everyone who is an American chess player or has watched what they've done over the last 20, 30 years now. I don't even know. I think I was talking with Rex just outside there and saying that this event here reminds me of the first ever Sinkfield Cup, which also only had 4 players. Here we have the four best chess players in the world, maybe, right? I think it's the first time Magnus and Gukesh have actually competed against each other on U.S. soil, if I'm not wrong about that.
Actually, yes, I think so.
I think that there's a lot to what the club has done to really put the United States back on the map as a location where the most elite chess happens, right? I think before the St. Louis Chess Club, you really didn't have these types of caliber events happening in the United States. So I think in terms of, yes, the club also was center, and I'm sure no one wants to talk about that any more than I don't want to talk about it, but it is something I talk about in the book when it comes to the cheating scandal. But the club's legacy and what the club does for chess obviously goes way, way beyond that moment. And this type of event really feels special because it feels like the start of something new again in a weird way. The reopening of the club, the fact that the top 4 players are here, Magnus, Gukesh. So this is a special moment.
Exactly. So we have 4 players, and I wonder who am I rooting for, and what do you think about the format?
In my position, I can't really root for any of the players openly. I want to see the best chess. I think I am rooting for the format, and I will say this: I love anything that innovates and adds stakes to every game. I think one thing we tend to struggle with at times is, hey, if an event is already over, how do you keep it meaningful? We do this in our own Speed Chess Championship by having a little bit of money on the line with every game. I think that idea here is also in play, and the fact that the games are worth more points as the days go on, I think keeps the stakes high and it keeps the fans engaged, even if that guy right there, Magnus, or that guy right there, Gukesh, happens to dominate, there will still be something to play for throughout the whole event, which I think is really important. And so I am openly rooting for the format here to be something that is permanent in St. Louis and that they try again. Hopefully it's not just an aberration, because I do like the format a lot.
Yeah, exactly. We're all looking forward to see what will happen in day number 2 and 3. Once again, Danny, congratulations with your book. And can you tell us where we can find it if those who still don't have it would like to buy the book?
Well, if you're here in St. Louis, you can get it just across the street at the World Chess Hall of Fame. The club was generous enough to buy a batch of books, and like you said, we did some signing yesterday, so there's still some books over there for purchase, or you can do what people do, which is get it on Amazon and all that stuff. But yeah, if you're in town, you should definitely come over to the World Chess Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much, Danny, and I hope we'll have the second volume one day, like second book with next years of your life. Yes, describe. So it's time to go for the commercial break. Once again, thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
From world capitals to the chess capital of America, titans of chess have traversed the globe to prove one thing: who will be the next Grand Chess Tour champion? Each stop yielded elated winners, but it all came down to four, and beautiful Sao Paulo, Brazil set the stage for an epic final showdown. After a tense first match, Fabiano Caruana and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave emerged victorious, but with the title bout deadlocked after classical, it all came down to rapid and blitz. Once the dust settled after a stunning comeback, only one man was left standing, and Fabiano Caruana was crowned the 2025 Grand Chess Tour champion. Following a decade of impeccable events, the tour looks to the future and all of the excitement that will unfold on the 2026 Grand Chess Tour.
Mate is in 4 moves from the position in front of you. Don't move until you figure it out in your head. Don't look at me for a hint.
I can't do it without moving the pieces.
Yes, you can. Clear the lines of men in your head, one at a time, and the king will be left standing alone, like a guy on a street corner. I'll make it easier for you.
What was that about?
I thought it would help.
How does that help?
You know, visualization and stuff.
I'm not picking up the pieces.
Sometimes you don't need to do anything crazy to get better. You just need to reassess your chess. I'm Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, and I'm presenting Jeremy Silman's How to Reassess Your Chess now on Chessable. So go to chessable.com/yourchess and start reassessing your chess today.
The 15th annual St. Louis Chess Club Golf Tournament teed off on October 6th at Glen Echo Country Club. Over 100 golfers participated and helped to raise funds in this terrific event that united chess enthusiasts, community supporters, and golf lovers for a day of friendly competition on the green. To everyone that attended and helped support chess education and outreach programs, thank you for your generosity.
Clutch Chess Champion Showdown is here, and 4 superstars take the stage. World number 1, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, and reigning world champion Gukesh Dommaraju. With more than $400,000 on the line, daily win bonuses, escalating point values, and the one-of-a-kind Champions Jackpot, every game could change everything. It all unfolds October 27th through 29th, live from the brand new playing halls of the St. Louis Chess Club. Don't miss a moment of chess history in the making.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the St. Louis Chess Club for Clutch Chess, the Champions Showdown. We're 1 round in, and through 4 games, we had 3 decisive victories. So as we promised, a lot of fireworks on display here already through day 1. Let's take a look at those standings and how things have fallen so far. Magnus Carlsen, he's out in the lead with half a point ahead of Fabiano Caruana and Hikaru Nakamura, who each traded a decisive victory in their bout. Gukesh gets away with half a point in that second game draw against Magnus Carlsen. You can already see some bonus money going to each of our top 3 players, but let's go ahead and take a look at how the bonus money has played out through the first 2 games, because with that one draw, $1,000 has already been ported to the 3rd and final day. The winner of the event will be taking home this prize purse on top of that $120,000.
And the pairings.
The pairings, of course, we have a double round robin throughout the entire day, so now we have new pairings to take a look at. Game 3 and Game 4. Magnus Carlsen's going up against Fabiano Caruana. He'll start with the white pieces before flipping to the black side of the board. That means Hikaru Nakamura is going up against Gukesh Dommaraju. Hikaru going to be starting with the white pieces in this one. Let's talk about how these pairings change the landscape of the field. Magnus versus Fabiano, stylistically, you talked about how Gukesh and Magnus feel very, very similar. Do you feel the same when it comes to Fabian and Magnus?
In a sense, again, very, very equally matched where classical chess is concerned. I mean, I think their World Championship match described everything, but I think Maurice said it very well when he said that when you're down to just seconds and your instincts take over and you just have to find a move, Magnus is that ever so slightly faster at finding that critical move at the critical time.
James, you were there to see the bit of controversy that broke out between Hikaru and Gukesh.
Good boy.
When Gukesh's king just flew into the crowd.
Sailed across.
How did that king get there?
Yeah, when Hikaru reached over after the USA blanked India in 5-0. A lot of people were not really happy about that. We know that the organizers wanted to see some kind of showmanship, but a lot of people didn't like a 37-year-old tossing a 19-year-old's king into the crowd. So there are certainly some Gukesh fans looking now going, beat him down, beat him down.
Then I think that's the game we got to start with,
James,
right?
you gotta
With
pick
that
again.
kind of a preface, we're starting with Hikaru versus Gukesh because you mentioned it. It's a rematch from just a couple weeks ago. It is a very different environment that they're playing in this time around. Of course, it was quick, standard games that they played in Dallas, Texas just a couple weeks ago. But here, we're back into that quieted environment, and we'll see what the preparation looks like for each of these players as they will get a chance at each other from both sides of the board. You can see their head-to-head pre-tournament, 2 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. I'm going to take it that those 2 wins came to Hikaru.
Yes.
Based on the way it's written.
Absolutely. And we have, the game is underway. Hikaru on the white side of a Rubinstein, Nimzo with the move bishop to d2. Hikaru borrowing a page from the Wesley So playbook. As this bishop to d2 move, it's very strange to see the bishop entombed behind the pawns, but the idea is to stop the move c7, c5. Obviously c5, you're attacking the center, but if you imagine that a2, a3, bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, gives up the 2 bishops, then you don't want your pawn on c5 because d4 takes c5 will just open up that diagonal for a bishop. So I'm expecting a3, Maurice.
By the way, we should note that, again, the organizers had promoted showmanship in that one. And so Naka wouldn't have done something that outrageous.
Yeah.
Gukesh did not take it personally in any way because he knew
might have known
that
it
was
was
sort of in
coming.
the contract.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop his fans from. So yes.
They weren't they didn't get the memo.
They did not get the memo. And they could say, okay, whatever, you could tell us any storyline, but we want to see our guy seek revenge. And in this position, it's known that black should be more or less okay out of such a solid setup. So nothing too spicy yet. A3, bishop takes on c3, and then a capture. If you take back with the pawn, which would be the way to try to keep some energy in the position, you will get an isolated pawn. And he's taking with the knight in this position.
Just to avoid this knight e4 business too, by the way. So knight takes, yes, sorry, Maurice.
And so now a very solid, I mean, this is, ultra solid, but white does have the 2 bishops, particularly that bishop on c3 at the moment will try to be the stabilizing and also the differentiating force in the position. If I got a bishop that you don't have, I'll try to bash you in the head with it. And so Naka now needing to find exactly what to do because knight e4 could come at any time.
In preparation for knight landing on e4, I would find my eyes drawn to the move queen b3. Why? Because I like development. Yes, I like development. Secondly, when you play the move e5 and I play the move knight back to f3, I like the idea of being able to castle long. Hikaru decided it was best to just retreat the knight right away, anticipating the move e5. He did so, and then knight c6 very quickly, and rook c1. I would say in the opening battle, at least if I'm looking at the clock, James, I'm seeing Gukesh with 10 minutes, more time than what he started with.
That's a bit surprising.
So he says, I've got this all of my board at home, and let me play the move e5, and let me at least threaten the possibility of d4.
Absolutely a great threat in this position. And
I want to deal with that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to see any parts of that threat as a capture. Now,
bishop to b5. Let's go. Can we play with the move bishop b5?
Now this is certainly like very small, minute type advantage that white is seeking here as the structure is resolved in terms of black's position.
And we do see bishop b5.
Bishop
we
b5.
see it, but we also saw that the computer doesn't love it for whatever reason.
Well, it's one of those Queen's Gambit accepted endgames. 4 and 4 on the king side center, 2 and 2 on the queen side. And it is about development. I mean, the faster white can get his pieces out, the more opportunities he has of maybe earning an advantage. And from black, the absolutely same thing for Gukesh. He's going to want to get his pieces out as quickly as possible, whether that means bishop to g4 or queen b6.
Importantly, Yaz, that bishop on c3 has got to annoy Nimzo players. I'm a Nimzo player. And
everybody.
That bishop, you want it to go. But knight c3, queen d8.
Correct.
Followed by bishop c6 is the only thing I would be thinking about after rook takes and then taking. And so instead he's played, and here I might get a slight position I don't really want.
You don't want it, right.
Not that it's that bad, but he has decided instead to defer taking on c3.
I think he made the right decision, Gukesh did.
With the threat of e4, and he's connected his back rank as well, so he can always take with the a-rook as needed. So this position, Naka has to pay attention. e4 is a real threat at the moment, and it looks as though black's play is perfect, especially given that white's king is stuck at the moment in the middle of the board.
Okay, exactly. And again, I'm with you 100%. I see e5, e4 as something I definitely feel I have to deal with. And I don't want to play e3, e4 myself as white because I think that giving up the f4 square is something I want to avoid. But h2, h3 followed by g4, I don't know. h3 might be the way Hikaru has to go. Hikaru's just looking over his possibilities.
Who would guess that Gukesh would have a 2-minute edge on the clock out the opening right now?
Somebody's done some good prep for Gukesh. In this one, I think Magnus shocked Gukesh in the first game with that whole fillet. And look at this, queen a4. Okay. He secured a weakness.
Yeah.
But check it out. He's going after this bishop, and he's going after this pawn. And
he also unpins the knight from the queen in the process, right?
Exactly.
So it's a multifaceted move right there.
Exactly. But, I mean, knight takes c3, rook takes c3. Oh, sorry. Well, I should start with bishop takes f3.
Right.
Bishop
then we double
takes
the pawns.
f3, double the pawns. Knight takes c3. Or let's say we double the pawns. And maybe we just go, whoop, gift me this pawn on f6. I'll defend the pawn on c6 as well. I think Gukesh is going to be very happy with the outcome of this game. Outcome of this opening,
I like
sorry.
That. Here I just want to bring then my queen all the way over to g4.
Yep.
G4 to defend.
G4.
Now I can maybe double. Right now, I'm looking to slide my rook over to G1.
Exactly.
Maybe put a little pressure there. The big issue though remains the king sitting on E1. How do I get it out of the way? I gotta spend a tempo to do so, and it's almost starting to feel like my best possible move is just to slide up to E2 and tuck it in behind all those pawns.
I just say, okay, I'll hang in the center. Well, that's a big decision for sure. And in this position, I don't think Hikaru is going to say, I came out of this opening with the position I intended to get when I played this.
No, but at least this most recent move has brought the clock differential right back into striking distance, right? So it's been an effective move, to say the least, in terms of making Gukesh think.
Absolutely, but I'm really surprised because he did have a near a 3-minute lead. Takes on f3, followed by move queen f6. Is so self-evident. Like, you just play these moves and then you think. Because you're going to follow it up with rook b8. Like, let's say you play your move queen g4 just for a second, so you defend the pawn. You're going to follow it up with rook g8. And you're asking white a very salient question. What are you doing about the pawn on b2? I'm going to take your bishop, and if you take with the rook, well, you say goodbye. If you take with the pawn, well, you're not going to be very happy because the rook's going to come to b2 anyway.
He might be looking for more somehow than this position, but it looks like great play, as you mentioned, in this position. By the way, in the other game, Magnus and Fabiano, they have played, if we can just switch over to that for a second, they have played a little bit of a cage game, as Magnus had some opportunities earlier. Fabi was slightly worse. But Fabi's sticking with the King's Indian guns here, saying, I'm ready to play and defend this in this 10+5 format.
Wow.
And the position is maybe a little bit better for White here, according to the engine. But this is a tough position to play. I would prefer White only because of King security, that King on G1 feels so much safer. But Black just played the traditional thrust of F7 to F5, and that's a move that his opponent will be staring down, as this pawn could go to F4. We saw Fabi do this against Hans Niemann when he was able to get an attack going on that side. So clearly Magnus wants to be careful to not have this pawn chain flow at him on that side of the board.
Is this the game? That's the game you were referencing before the broadcast today against Hans, where you said he almost made him look a little foolish.
Yeah, no, with the black pieces, it was like Fabi came out of that opening.
And it has happened.
Whoa.
Magnus has allowed it.
Connect 4. There it is.
And, okay, I mean, as we all know, we've seen enough Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov games where, you know, G5, G4.
Start the march.
But now, having said that, normally speaking, the queen side is not this open. Normally speaking, after a move like takes, White's not already in your business with the move Rook B7.
Also, how are we feeling about Black's light squared bishop at this point? Because it has very few options of squares to go to. Oh, okay, we are going to open up some squares by trading pawns here.
Well, I'm expecting Magnus to play moves like Rook to B7 and Rook on F1 to B1. So the move Rook on F1 to B1 isn't just designed to double rooks. In some really weird way, it's allowing White's king to run.
Yeah.
To run away. If ever G5, G4 lands, the king would be maybe safer on C2 than on G1. So I'm expecting, well, by the way, Fabi.
What are you thinking about here?
Exactly.
He's got to capture back, right?
Of course he does. I just think Fabi is, in his mind's eye, is looking at the position after capturing Rook B7, Rook F7. He's thinking, am I defending or am I attacking? Because that Rook on F7 is kind of a dual purpose, right? On a good day, the Rook could slide over to G7. Sorry, that was meant to be G7 and support a push. On the other hand, the king, here we go. They're following our prescription. Now after Rook F7, Maurice, I just feel that this is a position, yeah, I know you're attacking on the king side, but White is not this fast. In normal circumstances, White doesn't have so many open lines on the king side.
It is definitely the one thing you're concerned about is this sieve along this rank. You feel the air that you have
the seventh rank, yeah.
You have to keep boxed up. Like, don't let any kind of attack happen on that side. So I don't think that Black can be super ambitious in this position just yet. White does have those open lines that you normally get in the King's Indian to work with on the queen side, and Black is still slower on the other side of the board.
Well, especially because the knight is on H6, not the routine square. The routine square, of course, is the F6 square. If the knight was on the F6 square, it would be supporting the H pawn, so you could quickly play G6, G5, and get your attack going. Now, after he drops back with the rook,
which he hasn't done yet.
Yes, that's the move I'm expecting. It still takes some time for Fabi to organize properly the attack with G5, G4. Maybe it's going to be a pawn sacrifice. Check these apples out if you like it. I don't know.
How about them apples?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you can't play this now because your rook's hanging.
Yeah,
What?
we just take the rook with the queen, you know?
Well, that's a blind spot.
Well, what's funny is the computer still said that was dead zeros. So there was something there.
Yasser's computer doesn't work.
Because to me, that's a free rook. But
what we say, James, when we do those kinds of things around here, it's good morning, St. Louis. Look at that.
Except it's the afternoon. So.
Yeah, right? Don't. When James is not here, you keep playing catch up. Rook B7.
Rook, as
Rook
you mentioned,
B6.
there it is. Rook B7 to B6, keeping the rooks on and therefore keeping the pressure up in this game. By the way, in the game with Hikaru and Gukesh did not go for that line, taking on the F3 square. He did take the bishop on C3, as we mentioned. And there are some nuances to pay attention to in that both of them have their chances against weak pawns. Here we see Black had this amazing move, rook to B5, according to the engine I saw earlier, but queen D5 is what he played.
Queen D5, most logical move. You're defending the pawn on C6 tactically. Rook takes C6, rook takes B2 might rock your world. So Queen D5 defends the pawn on E4. No knight takes E4 for you. But on the other hand, I'm beginning to question if Gukesh made the right decision in not trading off that bishop for a knight.
That bishop needs some energy, but H3, if we keep going, H3, bishop back to C8 with the idea of bringing the bishop to the A6 diagonal and the D3 square, and that's a different bishop.
And it does slide over to A6 and has infiltrated already on our live position.
It is there. Castles, bishop
we
A6.
Call that transformational.
That's an amazing switch.
That bishop on G4 was septic. Suddenly, when that bishop lands on D3, it becomes a monster piece. It defends the pawn on E4 very nicely, tickles the queen, and restricts the knight.
A couple more moves we see, queen C1 and a rook to E6 guarding the pawn. That bishop just looks so magnificent on that square. And now knight back to F1.
By the way, that rook E6 was not guarding the pawn on C6. Yes, it was, but it was prepping for a massive, let me introduce rook G6 and queen G5 mate. No, Hikaru. He's making a defensive move before you even saw that you had an attack.
Say, allow me to introduce myself. That indeed, with that lift coming up into the game, and now Hikaru knows this is one he has to be careful for, but the time situation.
Right?
What happened?
2 minutes, yeah. We went from 2 minutes up to 2 minutes down here by Gukesh. Now, again, he's found some brilliant moves, again, citing that bishop rerouting throughout the middle of the game.
But Gukesh looks like he spots opportunity in this position to attack. He sure would like to play H5, H4, bring his rook to G6, and not allow the move knight G3 to cross purpose.
All right, we got to switch over to the other game, though.
We did.
Got to switch. Something dramatic just happens.
Nice big exclamation point on the board.
Where did that come from? Bishop takes H3.
No, he played the move F3.
Okay. First he lured the bishop to F3. So essentially what Fabi was saying, I'm going to trade off my pawn on F4 for your pawn on H3. He's made that trade. Why would you make that trade? Well, the knight on H6 is looking to pounce. Maybe a bishop to G4. After trade, the knight could recapture on G4. And this is a big moment. I mean, because if Black gets to play knight G4, I think he's equalizing.
And we talked about time on the other game. Time on this game is superbly relevant as well. Look at this, almost down to 2 minutes to the 5+ of Fabiano Caruana.
3 minute edge?
If you had asked me before the start of this game who would have the 5 to the 2, I would have had it the other way around.
Agreed.
Well, it's not going to be consistent, obviously, when they're playing all the time. But nevertheless, you made a very good point. To see Magnus this far down on the clock, he's well aware of it. And now Fabi just needs to find a couple of good moves that cause Magnus to hesitate a little bit. At the moment, your bishop is hanging. So you got to figure out exactly what you plan to do there. Or maybe it's not really hanging, some tactics.
Well, a moment ago, I blundered my rook. So let me proudly state that I blundered the rook. But in this exact moment, I figure this move, Queen E3, has a dual purpose. It defends the bishop, making the bishop on H3 on pre. It defends the rook, making knight B5 available. Like we're going to make a poor move for Black for just a moment. Fabi drops back. The knight comes to B5. If you end up defending, this is not fun. This
You're
is
just
not what you had in mind. So queen e3 is prepping. Give me the bishop.
Because he could play right now knight g4 to disrupt everything and force you to give up this bishop.
I will give up the bishop.
But you'll gladly give it up in this moment
Just
after
to
knight to
maintain.
g4 to be able to play the move knight b5 and somewhat restrict black's position. Well, that
Exactly.
pawn can be defended, but you just don't want to play defense.
Yeah, especially at this moment when I got my king sitting on h7. With the king on h7, I never want to see a rook landing on the 7th rank. But it is clock times, by the way.
It's not so much
the
anymore.
The bishop isn't dropping back automatically. Fabi has not just snapped out the move. Because the question for me is, what happens after bishop g4?
Seems like the most natural move on the board.
Well, thank you very much.
Because knight b5, you're taking on f3. And
Precisely.
and you
That's
can, again,
exactly
defend
what I
that
wanna
pawn
do.
on d6. It is possible to defend the pawn.
I'm desperately...
And he's played it after a lot of thought.
And rook came to b7 immediately. Why? Because you don't want to play bishop takes g4, knight takes g4. That's a tempo against the queen. That's on the f2. And now Magnus's point is, now if you take, I'm not required to recapture with the pawn, but thanks to that rook on the 7th rank, queen takes f3 is perfectly legit. Rook b7 on the board, 3 minutes to 2 minutes, James.
The other game,
There's so much tension on both boards.
Yeah, the other game actually has equality, more or less, although very dynamic equality in that one. So we'll just stick here for the moment. I mean, it's hard to follow both these games at once, but we'll do our level best. And we see here the clock times now between these two titans are starting to level off more and more.
For what we might consider a rapid blitz type of game, these games have enormous content to them. I'm just seeing attack and defense and counterattack. Now I'm thinking, look, if you're going to put your king on g7, takes queen f3, I want to gang up.
Right.
I would love you to capture the rook and invite my rook on b1, which is doing nothing. So rook takes knight. Oh, we have a different approach by Magnus.
Transformation of structure here.
Okay, so Magnus first captured the rook. You can't capture with the king. That would leave the knight on pre to the queen on e3. So he had to recapture. And then Magnus said, look, these double pawns are really lousy. Everybody knows double pawns are a weakness. But these pawns in particular...
It's a 4v4 in terms of pawns, but loving the 4 pawns on the side of white.
Now, this knight on c3 is terrible. I would love that knight to do better work, whether it be on the e3 square or the c6 square. So I figure it's time to readjust, but that knight to a better square.
Remember that 3-minute time edge?
Yep.
It is now down to less than 30 seconds as Fabi struggles to find how to play the very next move. And we'll see if he can pull that off. Meantime, Gukesh is starting to take over the other game.
Well,
but with only 25 seconds to his name. So the question is he really aware of the advantage that he's wrestled, and does he have enough time to capitalize on it?
Yeah, I'm sure he's aware of his clock time, but that move, queen e5, came, and he gained like 3 seconds. So what Gukesh is thinking in his mind's eye is he wants to take this pawn on a5. That would level the material, and then follow it up with takes on a3. Now, if Hikaru captures on d3, look at this incredibly powerful protected passed pawn on your doorstep. I don't think Hikaru is going to want that. So Hikaru, he's challenged here. I don't see a good... I think Gukesh has an advantage. I don't see a good way for Hikaru to equalize after this very good move, queen e5.
This game is the game with more content at the moment. It looks as though Fabi has equalized at least in his game, but 28 seconds left for Hikaru, for Hikaru's opponent, Gukesh, in this position. And Hikaru just needs to find a move that shocks his opponent, something that surprises him, forces him to think for some time. Remember, he lost on time in his first game against Magnus. Here he is, his first game against Hikaru, in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. And I see the tension is ramping up also in the Magnus Fabiano. But here's the question: is what on earth is Hikaru supposed to do?
How do you have any? I don't even see a move. There's no move I want to make.
Well, the move I don't want to make, but the move I feel I may be forced to make, is the move F2, F3. No, none of the above. Rook C1 followed by Queen A2 was Hikaru's decision. He has kept Knight takes D3 in reserve, but
there's a sneaky little trick he had in mind.
What's that?
Taking on D3, and then F7 would hang. So Gukesh spotted it and brought his rook back to guard that pawn.
That was clever.
Yes, there was a check on C8, and then Queen takes F7, and suddenly he would have burst into the position.
It's the clock time, though. Look, 15 seconds.
Those are the kind of sneaky moves I'm talking about that you have to spot. And Naka knows how to play quickly. You see how hesitation by Gukesh?
Yeah.
No such thing by Naka when he starts getting into flow. So Gukesh has to be careful.
There was no trickies. You got to be careful that you don't walk into something like rook takes. No, Hikaru said, "Okay, I see you. I see you. I'll just keep that defended." Now, he's done it. I was about to say the only open file for black to utilize is the open B file. Time to play rook B7 and queen B2. If you can engineer the trade of queens as black, I feel that Gukesh is the one who's going to be pushing.
By the way, Magnus is being pushed back in his game against Fabiano Caruana, as he's now under 5 seconds.
He's got a second to make a move.
Has he flagged?
Oh no, we had the wrong digital one.
Okay,
he now has actually 28 seconds on the clock.
The way you described it, like, did he flag?
Okay, on our screen he flagged.
Defibrillator. We're going to lose our commentators here in a moment.
He is at a time deficit in this game.
Fabi is somehow, despite the weak pawn structure that he's harboring, he somehow managed to coordinate his rook and queen so much so that he's pushed Magnus's pieces back. I like the move Knight D1. I've been thumping for some time this idea that you're going to want to put your knight on C4, going after the D6 pawn, or you want to put your knight on E3 to go after the G4 pawn. And with this move, 15 seconds to 30 seconds. James, I mean, I feel it's a 3-result game, though.
Ooh, wow, okay.
Queen D8. Hey, there's more than one way to get to your king. Check this out. Magnus did not like that move. Trust me, grandmasters do not like it when you start hunting their king.
Nakamura in big trouble in the other game. We won't switch to it. We'll review it afterwards. But he is in big trouble there as Gukesh is in complete control.
5 seconds
playing beautiful
here for
chess. Magnus down to only 9 seconds, though.
I think this is an invitation. No draw for you, says Fabi. Wow. I thought that was an invitation for a draw. To repeat, Fabi said no.
He dives
I've got
the
G3. I've got queen here. Please take my pawn because then I will take your pawn on D5. And queen E3, allowing queen H2 check. Magnus is determined that there's nothing there.
Wow.
I don't know. Looks scary to me. There goes a pawn.
Yeah.
And look, just like that, Fabi's up a pawn.
He turns what felt like a massive weakness in the doubled pawn and kind of the wrecked pawn structure into an incredible strength.
Absolutely, and there you go. Now the question is this a winning night ending if we trade queens? I'm not sure. Fabi didn't feel it was winning, so he decided to keep the queens on the board and eschewing the queen trade on F2. And was he right? This is... Okay, queen E3. And the players, 40 seconds to 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to that point, they've built a little bit of time back up in their bank,
buffer.
Right?
A little buffer.
Yeah, you can feel that maybe some of the tension has left their bodies.
Maybe on, I mean, it's a reach, but maybe on a good day, you could actually make a suggestion for a king march all the way to C6.
By the way, Gukesh is completely winning in his game, and he has just defeated Naka. We'll definitely see the finish there, as Gukesh has made a massive comeback in the third game of this tournament.
A great call out. With that, he'll move up to 1.5 points, and as you mentioned, we'll review that game in just a bit, but we're going to stick here and see this one through to the finish. Now it's only 10 seconds on Fabiano's side to work with.
And look what Magnus is doing. Magnus is making a king march all the way towards the b6 pawn. He is inviting queen to b6. Queen to b6, offering a trade is Fabi, and Magnus is thinking about it, went for it, said that pawn on d6, and look at that. I'm defending that pawn on d6 with both hands.
So
and
is
here we go.
Is our g-pawn enough here? We just run it down the board?
Well, the problem is this knight is going to defend. Now, if you come up with your king to e7 is going to just...
Yeah, did Fabi miss something there?
He threw the game away.
He missed something there. He moved a little too quick for himself.
Well, he had no time. He's got 10 seconds.
It's understandable, of course. Yeah, he's working under a dire situation.
He got 5 seconds. King e7 or king e6, doesn't matter. And I think knight g3, and we're just fine.
Yeah.
There it is. This is just a draw.
Wow, had perhaps a winning opportunity.
Wow.
Doesn't see it in the final moments, and in classic Magnus fashion, he's going to find his way into a draw.
And the players look at the arbiter.
Double checking.
Is it?
Against the rules. Hey, is it all right if we draw here?
Maurice.
But as we pull out of that one with half a point going apiece to Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, I want to go to Maurice Ashley at the big board to talk about perhaps Gukesh's big win over Hikaru Nakamura.
Two very quick points. Just one here first. This game, he had to find a move. Who played this move? One of Gukesh's countrymen. Was it Aravind? The idea that this piece is hanging, just give it away and go into a king and pawn ending and go this way. Now, all of a sudden, you can't touch this knight because this g-pawn is a runner. It was against Topalov. I think it was Aravind in, I want to say Poland. All right, so that would have been the way to go, was king g4. But again, in time pressure, to recognize this would have required some cold-bloodedness, if you will. But Gukesh showed his stuff in this position here when he got all the pressure he needed on this side with that bishop, just like the octopus knight. What do they call this bishop? Because it feels like an octopus sitting on that square. But look what happened here. He ganged up on the a-pawn, and it was a nice moment in the game when his rook penetrated, and then he played queen to f6 to keep the queen out, and then this beautiful, stylish move with the pin on the rook. If you take this one, I take that one. And you definitely go down quickly. Here, Nakamura realized the problem. He's losing this pawn. And once this pawn is lost, here came the c pawn as h4. Sure, whatever. You can push that if you want to. We're going all the way up the board. You take here, a queen b2 will be a problem. And so he panicked with h5. And then the rook came back and said, we're taking everything. We're just going to take your position apart. After queen here, he played queen takes on f2, and it was here that Naka realized that there was problems. I'm not sure if he fell on time. It really doesn't matter, as he's already down 2 pawns. This pawn is too dangerous. Queen coming over to d2 to eject the rook. A dominating, really, truly outplaying Nakamura. Dominating performance by Gukesh.
And dismantling him down the stretch. Let's take a look at the game as it played out in real time.
Well, that move, c3, c2, was really, that's a killer blow because, and rook a5, dropping back with the rook to go after the g4 pawn. I mean, the problems are just piling up. And now, finally, queen takes f2. That's a second pawn, and all of white's pawns are in trouble now. Queen takes e3, rook to g5. Gift me the pawns on h5 or g2. Hikaru said, yeesh.
Here, 4 seconds ticking down, and he simply resigned.
Yeesh.
Fantastic comeback by Gukesh.
A beautiful comeback.
He lost on time in the first round, did Gukesh against Magnus, but in that position that we saw, he had that amazing queen sacrifice to potentially save the game. The standings
brings him right up in the standings.
Let's take a look. Yeah, because things are continuing to shake up here. Magnus Carlsen, he'll continue to hold his half-point lead over the rest of the field, but Gukesh, with that decisive victory, moves himself up into a tie for second, and Hikaru Nakamura will drop down into fourth for the time being. He also picks up $1,000, so now everybody is equivalent in that bonus money column. But with a draw, we're going even to more bonus money. That's all collecting up in our championship purse. At the end of our 3 days, from $1,000 up to $2,000, that will be added to our overall event winner's prize.
And we are playing as Gukesh with the white pieces, who's just facing off against Hikaru, as is Fabi with the white pieces facing off against Magnus.
Well, they started early, right? They started earlier than the other game should not have started just yet, I don't think.
These guys just want to play. They already have started. Both
they have started already. That 5 minutes went by fast.
They're all juiced up and ready to go, man.
Look, you got Hikaru playing a King's Indian. You got a Fabi playing the Joko piano.
Hikaru now with the King's Indian. I mean, that's one of his classic favorites.
H7, H6. Okay, we have a Joko piano with the early H6 and an early B4.
Wait a second. That means we're half over already?
Yeah, we just crossed the halfway point of the day.
We just crossed the halfway point.
Well, you should watch our show. I mean, it's a really good show.
Man, this is so much fun. It's because we usually classical chess. We were just calling the U.S. Championship. This thing is blitzing along.
Time flies,
sure
baby.
Is. D7, D6. Let me just check what I think the openings are in this one. Yeah, as most Joko pianos are, with the move knight on B1 to D2, the players would transpose into a position that has been featured 13 times. With the move H7, H6, I got 14 games in my database. The most popular moves for the players who have reached this position as black is to play bishop E6. And in this position, they're still following the dictates of theory. Knight on B1 to D2 is most popular, along with the move D3, D4. So we're still in the throes of theory.
Just amazing watching, again, these great players duke it out. And I think they're all now in flow.
Yeah.
Whatever was the case, jitters or lack of form, who cares?
Butterflies.
Who's doing what?
And everybody's taking a win.
And everybody's got to
win. We have
win.
no winless players at this point,
Correct.
so that's got to feel good.
Only Magnus has not lost a game as yet. As everyone else has tasted their own blood.
True goated fashion.
Yeah, he became close.
He did. That last game, ooh, he was a pawn down.
That's the thing about those who are the best, right? How often they might be close to losing, or they might be on the edge of defeat, and yet you can't seem to push them there.
Not to engage in hyperbole, but seriously, if Fabi had found that idea of the knight sacrifice in the ending with King G4, King F3, that would be in our endgame books. I mean, that's crazy good. It's just a beautiful way of winning a game, a pawn up. He didn't find it. Magnus made a draw, and a very relieved Magnus is now on the black side of a Joko piano after this move bishop to B3. I'm seeing C7, C6 as a very standard move in these positions. The idea is when the knight comes to C4, you go back with the bishop. But let's check the other game for just a quick sec. I'm going to check in on the game between Gukesh. Ooh, we have a King's Indian G3.
Hybrid.
Yeah, he's mixing it up. Now, players who play the fianchetto variation of the King's Indian usually like to capture on F5 and then drop back with the bishop on G2 to defend the king and then drop to H3. Now with this move, H3, H4, Gukesh is very ambitiously saying, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play H5. I'm going to play King G2. And I'm going to ask you, who's got the attack on the king side? Don't play F4. If you play F4, I will immediately cement my bishop on the E6 square. By the way, Gukesh is playing bishops. I mean, Hikaru may not want to see any more bishops for the rest of the tournament.
And let me tell you, when you play the King's Indian and you trade off your light squared bishop as black,
you leave
yourself, and he has played the move F4, you leave yourself with a dark squared bishop that is not the most attractive piece in the world, and you leave your opponent with a light square bishop that can dance and prance with no opposition. You had better be getting real counterplay, because that light squared bishop for black is generally great in the attack, a great supporter of the light squares, and right now he has conceded those light squares, has Hikaru saying, okay, I'll work it out. Right. This is supposed to be a little bit worse for black in these types of positions.
Well, he's encouraging Gukesh to plant his bishop on the g4 square. And maybe he's going to play bishop g4, h5, just as we saw Fabi against Magnus on the last game. Black g4.
Well, that wasn't on our radar, was it?
It reminds me of a Mar del Plata variation of the King's Indian, but there you usually have a knight on g2, not a bishop.
It kind of just shuts the whole position down, though, doesn't it? Like everything seems locked up all of a sudden.
Well, the idea is, of course, to seal the deal. Like you're ready to meet h5 with g5, or you're ready to meet g5 with h5. The question I would ask is, how are you meeting knight c8? Gift me the pawn on h4. If you play the move g5, you don't get to shut the king side off. I get to play h6 and at least open some lines on the king side. g4, if you get to play king g2 and rook h1, give me white all day.
But you need an extra tempo for that.
g5.
Whoa.
Okay, I can't guess the moves because I'm almost 100% that we're going to see Gukesh reach for his h-pawn, say, I'm ready to seal the king side completely, and let's turn our attention to the queen side where I've got this nice wedge in the center, and I'll play for b4.
Okay.
So in Gukesh's mind, he's ready to play the move bishop e2, f3, seal it off, put his king on g2, and then slowly, take him forever, but open up the king side. Shall we switch?
Well, there's not much happening actually in the other game as well, as it looks more or less equal, slight edge maybe for white in this game between Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen. So we can take a look at their board. You see the two players who are absolutely, they play so many games. They just definitely have competed against each other many a time. And so there's not any inexperience as to how they actually play against each other. They know each other's styles intimately. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. And right now we're just playing a very solid position. Slight edge indeed for white, but really that's not that much.
Not that much. So Queen c2. Time, more or less. No. Magnus has an extra minute here.
Nothing too much to be concerned about, though, when both are at 7 minutes plus, I would say.
Okay, after the move Queen c2, which does defend the pawn on e4, I'm thinking similar move for Magnus, Queen c7, just kind of defending the pawn on e5, prepping the move rook d8. Now, Magnus, he's one of those maximalist kind of guys. He might be thinking to himself, let me play for the old standard knight h7, knight g5 routine, and not putting my queen on a slightly passive square c7, but play more ambitiously for queen to f6. Maybe on a good day with the queen on f6, I can get to play bishop takes h3. So Magnus to play. Another possibility is knight h5, trying to drop the knight in on a very good square f4. As we
he's
find
go
out
for
what
the
he
first
does.
of the moves
Queen
that
c7.
you called out.
Yeah, Queen c7. That I would say that's the most classical approach. You just make sure all your pieces are in play. And the rook on a8. Remember, there was a game from the ladies' championships where poor Alice got her rook on a8 trapped to a bishop on c8. Get everybody in the game. And Maurice, you have Gukesh and Hikaru on the big board.
Yeah, we don't have to switch to it right now. We can just stay right here. But Gukesh definitely with a spatial advantage on the board there. Giant pawn formation that he has, but it's pretty locked up. It's going to require a break to make this game go anywhere. So we'll see if he can execute that as Nakamura is defending. But it's this one, I think we'll probably see this liquidate on the D file. It's looking very, very close.
Something's got to give here pretty soon.
The annotations in Soviet chess circles was that the D file's the chopping block, and that the rooks would come to the chopping block, and everybody would just get traded on the D file. This move, knight b6, invites the trade of bishops, which as you saw, bishop takes, queen takes, knight. You've got a good square on f4, pardon me, on b6. I've got a good square on f4. And the question is, whose outpost is better?
Well, King H2 and G3 is definitely something he can think about. I'm thinking Knight D7 will happen at some point, though, for Black to eject that knight from that good square, so to speak, because I don't see the future at the moment anyway. There it is, King H2.
But because we moved our queen to C7 earlier, now it feels really hard for her to get back over to the other side of the board. Now she's staring into the back of her own pawn.
Now you're thinking the queen should be on f6. For me, though, I'm looking at this position. The knight, while it's on b6, is a kind of a good square. In truth, it doesn't attack anything. For me, I would find the square c5 to be far more relevant. So I would find the moves knight f4, knight a4 to c5, and I would kind of be happy if you kick me back with the move knight to d7, because this, I feel, I'm getting more than I did a moment ago.
Right, I'm at least hitting that b7 pawn.
But quite frankly, it's just kind of a game of finesses at the moment. The real battle is going to occur when the players are under 2 minutes. I can see that Fabi wants to play g3 and king g2. Maurice?
Yes, that position is very, very balanced at the moment. It looks like they're not really proving anything as yet. Take a look at this position, though. I mean, we traded off just a pair of minors, the white knight for the light square bishop. This bishop was entombed on this square, so Nakamura has found a way to bring it all the way over to the other side to try to make some use for it, because his pawn chain, it's like the Caucasus Mountains. It just blocked up everything, and your bishop just looks silly here, so he'd have to make this entire route, maybe end up here and trade itself off. In the meantime, the only break, there's only one in the position, and it's this move, b3 to b4. But he's put a rook on c8 and a knight on b6, and he's saying, if you ever push this one step forward, I am going to snap this pawn on c4 off. So that's why you see this move bishop to e2, trying to guard this pawn. He's going to have to play yet another move of some kind, whether it's a knight move to give this rook a chance to defend, or queen f1, put the bishop on d3, maybe put the queen on e2. But they are very alert, that both players, they know b4, the only break. There's nothing else in the position to play for. So that's why everyone has gone on this side. Look at this, f3. This whole side is shut down. Right. I mean, it's incredible. But again, it's about this b4 move. And even after you get b4, it's not clear what you're getting after that as well. But you can just keep working the angles on this side, because you'll be the one with the pawn break.
As I see it, the knight, when I play b4, the crucial square is c5. So as white, I'm thinking knight to d1, knight to f2, knight to d3, so that by the time I get to play b4, I'm ready to follow it up with c4, c5.
But your c-pawn's hanging, right, at the moment, so you have to be just a...
I'll deal with that when
solve
it. But
Look
a5.
at Nako play a5 and say, show me how you're going to get b4, since there's just seemingly nothing here. By the way, just note, we do know that though they're not trying to win the mini matches, Gukesh did win the first game. And so he can walk out of here with a draw and say, okay, I didn't do anything necessarily with the white pieces, but I beat you in that little bit of a mini match, and let's keep it going. Nakamura would remain in last place at the moment, needing to play Magnus in the next 2 games.
He will have gained ground, at least, through the end of the mini match.
Speaking of Magnus, Magnus just played a boss move. Fabi had just played the move king h2, and when he played the move king h2, it was very clear what he wanted to do. He wants to play g2, g3, very gently but firmly, nudge this knight away, and Magnus said, no, don't even think about it. g5, attacking with his own pawn shield, so he's exposing his king. He's looking at g5, g4 to chase this knight away. Now, one question I might ask is, if I play g3, knight takes h3, king takes h3, g4, whose pawn shield is damaged more by this whole trade? The king is planning to come back. h6 versus g3. Magnus's judgment was, your king is more exposed. This is a very... I mean, it takes extraordinary feel to judge that one. G5. Does the engine approve of this move?
It
Maurice?
does, but not for the sacrificial reason you mentioned.
Not because of knight h3.
Not sacrificing the knight that way. Knight h3 actually is considered worse. This, as you talked about, this exchange coming down to this position, your pawn shield is much more vulnerable than white's pawn shield. Of course, rook takes would have dropped this pawn. No, in this position after g5, the move that's after g3, if not knight h3, is g4. Let's go.
Sweet.
Let's go. Let's play this one. And now your pawn shield is compromised by having to take here. In fact, I don't even take the knight here. I could take this one first. And you see the queen eyeballing the king along that line.
She comes back to life.
So that is the move that he is intending. And now look at his body language. Magnus leaning back in his chair. Why don't you show us how you really feel? As Magnus seems very relaxed at the moment as he's found this fantastic move, g4, to stop king h2 dead in its tracks.
Queen c4, California cool by Magnus, saying, like, I don't believe your g3. And Fabi said, okay, I'm inviting you to, you just said A. You want to say B, you want to play g4. I can't take the pawn because that would be knight takes g4 with a fork. But I believe that Fabi is preparing the move knight h4. There we have it on the board.
We're going to go to f5 after that?
Fabi's going to play knight. Yes, exactly, James. You nailed it exactly right. You want to put the knight on f5, and you really, really want to put the rook on g3. But check it out. The knight on f3, what was it doing? It was defending the d2 square. Magnus said, you want to run away? I want to run in. Gift me the pawn. And I think Fabi is either going to be playing rook a2 or rook f1. I don't think you want to.
By the way, they could not figure out how to make any breakthrough, so they repeated moves in the Gukesh versus Naka game, and that one ended in a draw. That mountain chain was just too difficult to overcome.
Bring it to North America, the Rockies. Why did you? The Rocky Mountains, they couldn't get past the Rockies.
We weren't getting through the Sierra Nevada. No, we were stuck.
I mean,
all right, that leaves our attention solely here as they have finished their two games, and they will wait for this one to end, and then we'll get another 15-minute break for the players. But right at this moment right now, Magnus is trying to reel in the point here.
Well, check it out. So we just seen rook a2 by Fabi. I would anticipate rook to d8, defending the rook. And then, just as you said, James, the knight takes up an outstanding, brilliant outpost. I'm a pawn grabber. I'd probably be most tempted to defend the pawn in anticipation of the g-file opening up. I don't want to face the consequences of rook g3, so I put my king on king h7.
Nothing special here. Again, that knight f5 move, he could move his rook away, but it's not like something spectacular is about to break. He just has to keep his edge. And I think Magnus is looking for something. Like, what do I do here to increase my advantage and not just maintain? But he's not finding anything.
Well, is it an advantage? I'm still confused. As far as I'm concerned, black definitely has trumps, but white has trumps. The knight is ready to play to f5. The rook is ready to come across, potentially harassing the king. And we do have rook to d8, defending the rook on d2. And again, I'm thinking knight f5. How should we respond to knight takes h6 threats? I went king h7.
It has to be king, yeah.
I'm not saying it's the only move, maybe h5, but there is this move rook to g3. And whoa. Do we want to take and let that rook park itself on g7?
No, this is not easy.
I'm seeing a 3-result game, but it's all about the time too, right? Knight f5, 3 minutes to 2 minutes, or 150 if we're splitting hairs. Knight f5.
This is a big moment right now.
But it feels like every moment is a big moment. I mean, because the moves are so critical.
I mean, the thing is, Magnus can't figure out exactly what to do here. His
Where's the
H-pawn
breakthrough?
is hanging. He could advance it, but it will loosen his kingside somewhat. And in the meantime...
Imagine that happened. You played H5, I played H4 with the idea of G3. Remember when Fabi put his king on H2, his idea was to play G3? Maybe that will reoccur.
He has to find H5 because the king move is losing.
Why is king H7 losing?
Oh my goodness! What?
Knight to A8.
Knight A8 refutes king H7?
That's hilarious.
That is beyond the beyond. That is.
I didn't see. Oh, come on.
That would be one of the most spectacular moves. And he's decided to trade. He must have spotted it.
Wow. Okay.
Knight A8 deflecting the rook from the defense of the other rook.
That's outrageous. And he traded rooks on A2. And then played king H7. So he's got the same position with a rook trade off the board. Now,
but that's pulled the queen kind of well out of position a bit.
Well, the weird part was I wasn't absolutely satisfied with the knight on B6. I mean, it looked, except for knight A8, which wins apparently in an obscure way. I'm thinking that the knight is more useful either on the C4 or C5 squares. But for Fabi, it's about his clock.
Yeah, I don't like his flow right now. I don't like his flow. He needs to start moving, and he needs to just go.
Let's go.
Tuck,
Let's go.
Tuck. You got to feel that flow.
Yeah.
Right now, there's too much cogitation, meditation, remuneration. No, I'm making up that last one. That's not what it means.
Cogitation.
I mean, cogitation, that's a new word for me. So I add that one into my dictionary.
And there we go.
And he's found a fantastic move.
I like this move a lot.
And the engine loves it, actually.
Because I'm thinking that this knight are menacing.
Rumination was the word I was looking for. Rumination. So, but at any rate,
though.
he's done it all, and he's come up with the best move, as the engine loves this last one, H4 on the board. And Magnus, for all his efforts of pushing ahead with those pawns, is starting to look and say, where do I have?
Yeah, where am
and
I
he's
going?
the one now cogitating a little bit too long.
Meditating. Well, in view of the fact that G2, G3 is inevitable, sometimes you kind of move out of the way in anticipation of the attack. This queen somehow bothers me. So I do find the move knight e6 attractive, but I'm thinking, can I drop my rook in on the position? Rook to d1? On a good day, rook to d1, queen to d8.
Yasser, you're way too calm for me. Look at the clock time. The guy is at 1 minute now and 4 seconds. I thought, again, the flow, and when he picks up a pawn, as Magnus has done right now, it means he's not ready to move until he puts that back down. So now he's actually fallen under Fabi on the clock, and he still has the pawn in his hand. Now he's finally let it go, and he played your move. And here comes the knight coming back very quickly to c4.
Now, this I really can support this move a lot, because I'm seeing knight to d6, and we start hitting buttons. Rook takes d6, yes. Knight takes d6. Queen takes f7. That was why I was saying this queen is kind of lurking for these opportunities of even knight takes e5, queen takes e5, queen takes f7.
The engine not a fan of this move, but
not a
from
fan.
Practical purpose, it looks like a fantastic move as far as I'm concerned.
Not
and it's caused Magnus to pause as
20
he's now
seconds.
under 20 seconds on the clock, and he's still holding the pawn in his hand. Put it down, Magnus. You need to make moves.
I wonder, it was that H-pawn move.
Whoa! I can't believe that move worked.
He's going to take a stab at it.
No, nobody believes you. Magnus, what kind of sacrifice is that? No, that can't work. That can't possibly. If that works, I have
We're hitting
to
the
eat my
rook, so
hat.
the rook's got to move again.
No, I'm kind of thinking about the move queen e2, actually. Queen to e2 hits the rook that's sitting on the d1 square, hits the knight.
As well.
By the way, the move knight h5, I thought rook g7 was a winning threat, and that move just defended against the winning threat. 12 seconds, queen d... And
Queen
Magnus, did he overreach?
He's finally taken.
Take the rook. Yeah, we can trade pawns, but I love the resulting position for white.
And Magnus is uncertain here. He played with 4 seconds on his clock, but this position is awful for him. As now his knight, well, queen C2.
Awful.
I mean, the engine is going nuts.
It was awful.
Queen to C2.
But he's only got 6 seconds to work with.
There's a knight D6.
Oh,
knight
he
D6.
missed it.
D6 for sure.
Knight D6.
And that knight on E4 looks like he's going to drop.
But there's queen G4.
Queen G4.
Hits the H pawn. Oh my goodness, with no time on the clock. 6 seconds for Magnus, 20 seconds for
Bobby just
the
checked in with his
new.
clock.
There's also knight G3
He
doing
did
the
it.
same.
Queen G4 though. You were threatening to take on H4. Oh, I think the advantage slipped away in those last 2 moves as Magnus gets his king off the diagonal. Just the
What a
timing
save.
he
Wow,
needed.
This is the strength of Magnus that we talked about, right? When you get
He's
down to those
so
final moments and playing on pure intuition, he's just a step above the rest.
He's so calm under pressure. It's ridiculous.
And now Fabi, he's got 10 seconds, and he's probably seeing, oh my goodness, my advantage just vanished. And, you know, so is my time.
Okay, Queen F4.
It's all about nerves now.
Queen G4. No.
Knight back to F1.
And Magnus is saying, excuse me, I've got an outpost. I saw your knight coming to E3. I'll stop you. And by the way, I'll give you a tickle. And don't forget.
5 seconds.
Ooh, knight F4. No, it's not checkmate. Ooh. He's played it.
Still going to go for it.
Knight E3 defends. E4 knight is hanging 12 seconds.
Cavalry is staring each other in the face. We do get the exclamation point for the most recent move there by Fabi, so he's mounting a solid defense.
G6, knight E5, hits the queen, and Magnus down to 6 seconds.
And he's in big trouble right now.
Now Fabi's striking back.
Ooh, threatening queen. Beautiful move by Fabi. He's threatening queen G4 and queen D8 check.
Hey, they're both making actual mistakes right now.
Of course.
Be anticipated.
Their clock times. Oh my gosh.
7 seconds for Fabi. They are playing on the edge.
Knight G4.
He dropped his knight back.
Knight back. Oh, but that's knight H3 and knight takes F2.
And there
knight
it is.
Takes
He's
F2.
lost the pawn.
Oh. No, queen G3 check is in the position for Magnus now.
Magnus now
ahead
in the position.
Changed.
And Fabi needing to try to survive.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Queen H4. What a great move.
There's
It's
a
the knight on
Queen
F2.
A1 on the entire other side of the board.
Queen
that will threaten a
A1.
monster threat. 5 seconds for Magnus.
Can he see it?
He
He
finds
did it.
That's the most Magnus move.
Oh
That's just
my
the most
goodness.
Magnus moment.
What a boss.
He's threatening mate in 1. We have to play knight G1. There's no choice. We have
But he
knight
doesn't.
G5. And instantly Magnus has played king G6. He anticipated knight G5. Look at this play.
Queens are off the board. 1 pair of knights is off the board for each player. So we're in a knight endgame with
But
a
an extra
pawn
pawn.
up for Magnus Carlsen.
This
and
should be winning.
20 seconds
but
on the
he
clock.
dodged the bullet, did Fabi.
Wow.
Magnus could have won this
I
before.
don't doubt it. But he's just made a break. C5.
But not the right one.
C5, B5, knight D6. Magnus says, gift me the pawn. Gift me. But I've got to play B6, and it's not. Is Magnus giving Fabi's some
No, but
chance?
B6 is a massive blunder, as a matter of fact. Now Magnus is winning again.
Very much winning again.
Is that?
He's got a huge advantage.
Is that true? Knight to D5?
Knight to D5 here.
You got to play knight. You can't afford to trade knights. That's just resigns. That's just, you got to. Fabi's looking. How is he going to go after
the knight's going back to
Four,
D6.
sec three.
The knight's going back to
2
D6 after this,
seconds.
though, and you're stuck defending that pawn forever.
And look at Magnus's clock
Yeah.
at the moment. He's got a passer on the H file.
I'm afraid of a knight F5 check. He didn't play knight F. How do you not play
That would have
knight
won on the
F5
spot.
check in that situation? Oh, he's just coming over to collect. King to E5 to D4. Knight takes. Okay, we've got a threat. Potentially, knight takes A6. So Magnus has just got to make sure he doesn't fall for any cheapos with knight takes A6. Not
Continues
enough.
to find some of the best moves in the position, though. And now he's got a solid pass pawn on the C file to work with.
Wow, what an extraordinary moment there in that attack. I thought it was a 3-result game, and I thought that Fabi had the upper hand. After knight c8, sad to say, it's going to be 3 passed pawns after knight c8. Just go and... Oops, excuse me. That was my button. Oh.
Magnus Carlsen down the stretch. It's just an unmatched force within the chess world.
Remarkable. He held his nerve, and he found that incredible shot. Queen A1, James.
You know.
That was amazing.
I find myself at times wondering if he can do it, and then once he does it, I'm like, of course he did. Of course he found
That's
a way.
why it's called clutch chess, because when it's clutch time, this guy has it in his DNA to get it done, and it's a very tragic finish for Fabiano Caruana. There were so many mistakes played on both sides. It wasn't worth really discussing, but we can come to a couple of critical moments in the game here. This one, for example, Fabi had this under control. He had driven the queen back, and now he could actually break through on the other side of the board. This would have shocked Magnus, as this would have led to the queen being able to penetrate on c8. There's a disruption on the b7 square if you have too many captures. I'll just make this point here, and there's this possibility suddenly, and you are just in deep trouble. You might
Queen
even
G4 check is on.
lose material here, check, and what do you do?
There goes the knight.
As that drops this piece. So b5 was a fantastic chance for Fabiano. Queen g7 by Magnus here, and then he backed up with this move. And I'm going to jump ahead to this moment in time when he's worse now. He's definitely worse, but that move by Magnus, I mean, you see a geometric move like that one. He crossed the entire board to threaten mate on this square. But even here he had a chance. Knight g5 check, the chance by Fabio, the move by Fabio, hoping to get a chance here. It gave, Magnus gave him this much in this position. And they were actually drawing, after knight takes e4.
Drawing?
It was drawing.
G4 was the blunder.
Nope. Right here. This position here.
Sorry.
This position. Not ideal play, but he could have played takes on a6, takes, and then knight here. The point. If you take this, I'm going to come back with check. And then the point is, wherever you go, I'm going to go after this one to take that one, to take that one. And now it's going to be a 2 against 1 on this side, and Fabi would have saved the game. But he obviously...
B takes a6. No,
Sorry?
B takes a6.
B takes on a6 was the key.
Nice.
Yes. B takes on a6 to crack this structure so that you can make this maneuver and then pick the pawn off on a6. So that's how he would have saved the game. Instead, he ended up in a dead loss. Knight ending, and,
lost it.
Too bad for him. He ended up losing the game.
So Magnus Carlsen has done it once again. Let's check in on where we stand. It's 3 points to his name, now adding an extra half a point in his differential over the rest of the field. But Gukesh will move up into sole possession of second place with his draw there against Hikaru Nakamura. Fabiano Caruana drops down into that tie for third alongside his countryman and Hikaru at 1.5 points apiece. $2,000 now in the pocket of Magnus Carlsen. That also means that another $1,000 has been added in to that bonus money pot at the end of the week. Let's take a look at some pie charts.
Statistically speaking,
win it?
Statistically speaking, who's going to win it?
Yeah, statistically speaking, who's going to win it? The source here, we did 15,000 tournament simulations. And the computer gives Magnus Carlsen 40% chance.
What a shock.
Now, not necessarily a shock that he gets the edge, but I actually wonder if that's low.
Oh, wow. I was a little surprised to see that Fabi is edging out Hikaru in terms of the second, who's the second favorite. I would have thought Hikaru, because we know he's such a great blitz player.
In these time controls.
Yeah, and all of these...
But it's a little bit more than blitz.
Yeah, I know.
Fabi's not bad in rapid by comparison.
But we're seeing all of the games come down to 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Should we make some picks?
It's 3 minutes and 5 seconds. They're not playing 3-0 or 3-2. It's 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
We know what the simulation says. What do you say?
Well, come on. 18-time world champion. It's not fair to make the picks.
What a boring day.
What a boring. I mean, you can't say.
Guilty as charged.
Right? What do you want me to do? What do you want us to do? The guy doesn't lose.
What are we picking? Second place?
Now, that might be a more interesting conversation.
I think we're going to be seeing exciting games, but seriously speaking, Magnus got out to a great start by winning that first game against Gukesh on time that maybe he shouldn't have won.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference as we're seeing right now. Magnus
But this last round, he was in trouble as well.
Exactly.
Big trouble.
He's not infallible.
No.
But I think your point from earlier, just the idea that he's yet to even drop a game, right? He has not lost a game yet, and that kind of speaks to Magnus Carlsen as a player. He's so titanic that even, like, sometimes it feels like your best option is just a draw against him. It's never to get the actual victory over him. Let's take a look at the bonus money. As we said, there was one draw in that most recent game. So from $2,000 to $3,000 we go. Again, the winner of this event will be taking home the $120,000 for their prize, plus whatever remains in this purse here at the end of our 3 days.
Plus every bit of dollars that they're winning for every single round.
That's right, but we have a birthday to celebrate here
production.
at the St. Louis Chess Club. One of our lovely production assistants in May Lynn. It is her birthday, so happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for spending your birthday with us here today. Now, Yasser, he spoke to Magnus just the other day as he stepped into the St. Louis Chess Club before doing battle against 3 other chess greats. Let's take a look as we go to break.
Magnus, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to St. Louis.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a while. How does it feel being back in St. Louis?
It feels good. Obviously, it's been 3 years, and that's the longest it's been since I was here for the first time in 2013. I've generally wanted to be back, but I haven't really found the right time. But now. Yeah, now I'm back and it feels good.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, in St. Louis, welcome to you. The chess club, your timing's perfect because the chess club has just undergone a renovation. What do you think of our new digs?
It looks very good here, but I'm not good at noticing these things. So my first thought coming in was like, oh, this looks like it did before with. We're probably gonna play in the same room and everything. But it certainly looks good, and chess players are treated the right way here. That's for sure.
Wonderful, Magnus. Since we last saw you, you've become a husband and a father. So hearty congratulations. And Magnus, at last, you finally met someone who's greater than yourself. Your son.
Yeah.
What's that like?
No, it's amazing. I enjoy it a lot. Obviously, I'm here now, but I've been very fortunate to be able to be at home and be able to spend a lot of this first month with my wife and son. So I'm very happy with that, and he's incredible.
How does
in
that...
my humble opinion.
Yes, of course.
Unbiased opinion.
Yes, unbiased. Perfect, baby. As a chess player, we tend to have chess somehow running in the back of our minds. We might be at dinner, but we're thinking about the game, thinking about the preparation. Now, you're a daddy. Do you find those thoughts of being occupied by your son?
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting for me, and knew that I'm in certain situations where the only thing you think about is your kid, and wanting him to be safe and taking care of his needs, and you're not so much planning, you're kind of reacting to things that are happening. So it's new to me, but it's quite refreshing for sure, and I definitely enjoy it. As for my chess, I will see in this tournament, won't we, how it's working. But yeah.
Love the challenge of being a daddy. Speaking about our tournament, we have the world's number 1, number 2, number 3, and the reigning world champion. That's a heck of a field. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. It's why I'm here.
Right.
To play against the best in the world. And I must also say that the format intrigues me a lot. One of the best matches that I've played in speed chess ever was against Fabi in clutch chess back in 2020, where we just seemed to go back and forth. And luckily, you know, I'd white in the last game, so
it was worth 3 points.
Yeah,
you passed him at the post.
I'm managed to to pull ahead there, but yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to play. What's also interesting is that when it comes to Hikaru and to Fabi, you know that they're incredibly strong, but it's to some extent it's a known entity. While with Gukesh it's quite different. He's evidently getting stronger at these formats, but you know, how much will it be enough? On paper he doesn't have the same resume, but like the last time I said that in Croatia, he won almost every almost every game in Rapid. So that's why it's very hard to judge a lot of the younger players, because they're improving at a rapid pace. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does and how I stack up against him myself.
Magnus Carlsen, thank you so much, and good luck in this Champions Showdown.
Thank you.
From world capitals to the chess capital of America, titans of chess have traversed the globe to prove one thing: who will be the next Grand Chess Tour champion? Each stop yielded elated winners, but it all came down to 4, and beautiful Sao Paulo, Brazil set the stage for an epic final showdown. After a tense first match, Fabiano Caruana and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave emerged victorious, but with the title bout deadlocked after Classical, it all came down to Rapid and Blitz. Once the dust settled after a stunning comeback, only one man was left standing, and Fabiano Caruana was crowned the 2025 Grand Chess Tour champion. Following a decade of impeccable events, the tour looks to the future and all of the excitement that will unfold on the 2026 Grand Chess Tour.
Mate is in 4 moves from the position in front of you. Don't move until you figure it out in your head. Don't look at me for a hint.
I can't do it without moving the pieces.
Yes, you can. Clear the lines of men in your head, one at a time, and the king will be left standing alone, like a guy on a street corner. I'll make it easier for you.
What was that about?
I thought it would help.
How does that help?
You know, visualization and stuff.
I'm not picking up the pieces.
Sometimes you don't need to do anything crazy to get better. You just need to reassess your chess. I'm Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, and I'm presenting Jeremy Silman's How to Reassess Your Chess now on Chessable. So go to chessable.com/yourchess and start reassessing your chess today.
The 15th annual St. Louis Chess Club Golf Tournament teed off on October 6th at Glen Echo Country Club. Over 100 golfers participated and helped to raise funds in this terrific event that united chess enthusiasts, community supporters, and golf lovers for a day of friendly competition on the green. To everyone that attended and helped support chess education and outreach programs, thank you for your generosity.
Welcome back to the St. Louis Chess Club and Clutch Chess Champions Showdown, where so far the players have delivered every step of the way through 4 games today, but we still have 2 more to go. Here's a current look at the standings. It's Magnus Carlsen, the world #1, aptly occupying the #1 spot in our tournament with a whole point over place number 2, Gukesh, our reigning world champion. Fabiano Caruana and Hikaru Nakamura, they're in a tie for third, only half a point behind Gukesh. So let's take a look at round number 3 and what's in store. It will be the end of our first double round robin. So Fabiano Caruana up against Gukesh Dommaraju, and then Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura staring down each other. It's Fabiano and Magnus who get the white pieces to kick this round off.
Bong, bong. You gotta love this.
Great stuff.
That to end the day, Naka versus Magnus, and that will happen every day, by the way. So
all 3
when we
days.
get to the 3-point games, right now it's 1 point per win. But when we get to the 3-pointers, that's what we're going to see is this final matchup. Magnus won't be able to rest on his laurels no matter what score he has, because he knows that people will be chasing him for those 3 points.
Just to remind everybody, in our very, very first clutch chess event that we ever had, it came down to the last round. And the last round featured Fabi. He was 2 points ahead of Magnus. But the game they were playing for was 3 points.
Yep.
Magnus won on demand to just pip him at the winning post. It was just an amazing final day.
You can find that online because it was played online 5 years ago.
Amazing.
When I went back to revisit that match, it was like, what the heck? They won like 9 out of the last 10 games. Like, they were decisive.
It was great.
And it came down to Magnus needing to win the very last game, as Yasser said. I don't know why we didn't do it right away after that. The format was so good.
Well, COVID just like threw everybody off, and we were trying to get back to purposeful U.S. championships and things like that. But here they are. This will be the final round of today, as the players will have black and white against each other, and they're facing off.
Exactly. Final round, but consisting of 2 games to bring our total of games for the day up to 6, with every player having played both sides of the board against each other.
By the way, kudos to Gukesh. He came in maybe the underdog.
Which is crazy to say.
He's not as fast and experienced as the others. Lost his first game in a game that he had
easy to collapse after
very
that.
good chances. And he said, excuse me, hold my bag. Because
I have a different script.
Hold my gold medals.
Yeah, I have a,
That's right.
I have a different
I'm coming
script.
here to show you that I am here to compete. And he is now in second, having watched 2 of his elders drop 2 games as well. So he's in a good position here. If he can have a good last round, he'll say, yeah, shook off some of the jet lag, too.
And maybe a bit of a wounded Fabiano, right? You're coming off of a game that was very back and forth, as we mentioned, had mistakes on both sides of it, but therefore winning opportunities on both sides of it. So has Fabi been able to shake that off when stepping into this game against Gukesh?
I don't see how you do that. I mean, because, it's very easy for us to say, okay, next game. No. You're a human being. You got some baggage there. You just lost a game that you might have won had you played B5.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a 3-result game. Magnus is tucking in his pants. I'm not sure.
He looks like he's in dad mode right now. just fed the baby. Woke up with the kid. Hey, here, Mom, you take him. I got to go play some chess against the best players in the world.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be right back.
Hikaru's not going to be far behind him, though, in a few months' time.
That's right.
Look, let's stay with these guys. I mean, for the last 10 years, whenever you talk about blitz rivals, and they have had, look at this, their fair share of blitz matches with one another. Knight C3 on move 2. Well, D7, D5 has long been considered the way to meet this opening as a black, and, immediately A7, A6. I was going to say that bishop F5, H6. Well, okay. Now
like a double-pronged pincer attack.
A3. I don't know what's going on. Bishop D3. I think everybody would play there, but A2, A3, trying to discourage C5. C5, D takes C5. Why did we play A3? So that we could launch B2, B4. But A2, A3 on the board. Again, if I was in Hikaru's shoes, I'd be jumping at the opportunity to play Bishop F5. He did not. He played E6, again, a prelude to playing C5, and quite possibly Bishop D6. A very strange London unfolding in front of us. And let me just refresh the board because these guys are playing. There we go. These guys are playing rather quick moves here. Oh, geez. It's not the most responsive. There we go. Takes, bishop d3, knight, and it almost looks like a Nimzo Indian in reverse. There's Rogozins.
Except
where you play
c3, huh?
Yeah, well,
oh, in reverse.
In reverse, where you play for the move e3, e4 as white. And, well, as stated, e3, e4.
By the way, we have a Botvinnik English in the other position.
Now that's my wheelhouse. Now we're turning. Yo, I played that my whole career.
Shall we go take a look at it then?
Well, we just saw. I'm more than curious. I'm seeing Hikaru's sideways glance. E3, E4. Wait a minute, says Hikaru. Can I play Queen B6? Threatening F2, threatening B2. Isn't there something wrong with this move, says Hikaru? Hikaru decides to castle, and that's a shock. Shock for me, because no, seriously, this might be a huge moment. And he didn't do it. He just castled. Okay,
you were considering just pushing the pawn?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. E4, E5, and it looks like a French defense. Like, for example, if you played the move knight D7, queen E2, but there's a hook here, and it kind of intimates that I'm ready to play H4, knight G5, or G4, G5. Very, very surprised that both players allowed, and they're still allowing the position with, I think that this position after E5, knight D7, queen E2 really, really favors the first player. But maybe I'm exaggerating the point. Probably maybe the engines say, yes, that's old school. With them, it's funny, I'd rather have the rook on H1 so that I could play G4, G5 with the rook on G1.
And sometimes, well, you mentioned much earlier that there's like a pseudo-London, and sometimes you see that in the London, foregoing castling just to launch the attack on the king's side earlier, right? But I mean, obviously, we're far departed from a typical London structure at this point.
Actually, we are. And with this move, B5, by the way, Magnus has stopped because there are alternatives to E5 and Queen E2. And one of those alternatives that he's doubtlessly considering is moves like knight E5, trying to reposition this bishop maybe to a better square, as well as takes on D5. Let's just check the other game, and we're going to flip to Fabi versus Gukesh. And this isn't, it's almost like a Karpov system against the English with the bishop on C5. But it is definitely a Botvinnik triangle in the center. These pawns on D3, E4, and C4, and bishop E3. Now, I've always played these positions on the white side, so I am definitely biased.
I learned this system from the late, great Ronald Simpson, who would play it to attack.
Yes.
Wanting to get in the moves F4 and F5 and G4. If you could, if you ever could get this storm.
Definitely.
And Ronnie, thank you, Ronnie, wherever you are, looking down. This idea drove me all the way up to 2,400 until the stronger players started saying, no, it's not automatic.
It's not. It win itself.
Right away.
Yeah.
But I remember this fondly, remember playing positions like this one back in the day.
Well, you do have those good childhood memories. Like I like to play the Joko piano as white. Not the way they're doing it today, but I like to play it so I could go B4, C3, B4, A4, B5, and chase my opponent's pieces away. Now, the amateurs that I was playing against, they fell for it every time. Not these guys. These guys avoid it. I do like Ronnie's idea of F4, F5. Normally, I like to get my king out of this diagonal. And by the way, when you're attacking, I know it's not your first blush. You don't necessarily want to retreat the knight, but you basically say, I retreat the knight, I go F4, I go F5, and you got a good knight, but it's blocking the bishop, and I've got some attack brewing on the king side. We'll see
While
how
they
it goes.
do that, and we see where that goes, the other game has blown up in the middle of the board as E5 was played, And Naka played the move f6, the thematic break in the middle of the board to challenge that white pawn, definitely giving the bishop on d3 a lot of room on the diagonal, but it's not so easy to exploit that diagonal because where does your queen join? If that c-pawn weren't there, you could bring your bishop back and put your queen on the line, but at the moment, no. So capture on f6 by Magnus, and Naka press the pause button as he has so many captures on the f6, the recapture.
Which
on
one?
f6.
Which one
do you do?
Well, by the way, the move f7, f6 in my mind was basically forced, because if you ever allow bishop takes h6, you're in trouble. But f6 takes, I was about to say, for me, recapturing of the rook is that kind of automatic.
That's what I would have
And
done.
the reason why is because I'm just dreaming, you know, in the Sicilian, they sacrifice the knight, they sacrifice the exchange on c3. In the French,
It's going to open up the king, huh?
yeah, you sacrifice the rook on f3. These types of sacrifices are a dime a dozen in French defenses. But Hikaru said, no, I'm recapturing with the queen. That's a tempo against the bishop. Magnus dropped back with the, and this is why he recaptured with the queen. Hikaru said, I want to post my knight on e5. And with the knight on e5, Maurice was just talking about that bishop and what a nice diagonal it's sitting upon. And Hikaru is saying, well, aren't you afraid I'm going to take the bishop? Magnus says, I'm not afraid.
And Magnus is terrifically fighting for the e5 square. He wants to conquer that square as
Yes,
we
he
see
does.
the trade now take place on d3, and he wants to put something on that square. The worst piece, though, in Magnus' position is the knight on c3. It looks attractive because it's developed, but it's controlled by pawns everywhere. So that knight would love to be the one parked on e5 if you could get that maneuver.
That's dream.
That would just be a dream idea.
Takes 4 moves to get there. That's the problem.
Oof.
Okay, but we take with the queen.
Yeah.
Our idea is very simple. We want to park the bishop. We would prefer the knight, but we do want to park the bishop. He took with the pawn. Let me just check that. Let me just refresh my board. Yes, he did. He recaptured with the pawn, did Magnus. Okay, once again, Magnus is saying, I've got a positional threat. My positional threat is I'm going to play bishop to d4, to e5, followed by d4.
Solidify it with the pawn.
That cannot be allowed.
And then this light square bishop is crying.
That cannot be allowed.
Right, now that would take 4 moves to
get it out. Exactly. So a big test now for Hikaru. How are you?
Yeah, so how do,
Well,
where's the prophylactic move here?
Bishop d4 is a move you could play here.
It's a virtually required move. Now,
oh, he didn't play it.
What? He did not.
He did not play it. He just ceded the bishop e5.
Wow.
So that's move 1 of 4, by the way.
Huh?
For that light square bishop to get out. We're talking about how if you do allow this.
The light square, 1, 2, 3,
it's
4.
Take a long time to get into this game.
To get into the game. So that's 1. But after the move bishop e5, let's just make a move. Doesn't matter. Queen to d5. Maybe a good move, maybe not. d3, d4, and bishop to e7 and knight to d1. Get that knight back into the game. Well, we will keep an eye on this one. I'm going to go back, if you don't mind.
Yes, it looks like
Fabi versus Gukesh
has played a move on the board that shocked Fabi. If we go back just 2 half moves here, this position, we talked about Ronnie's f4 idea.
Let's go.
Being aggressive. And Fabi said, yeah, I heard you, Maurice. But then Gukesh said, what about this move, which you cannot capture that piece because of the fork with the knight? So,
but Fabi had that answer
It took him a long time before he finally actually played this move. He sat for about 3 minutes before he finally played bishop takes. And now pawn takes by Gukesh and the knight dropping back. Again,
and now the bishop is hanging.
Now the bishop is cleanly hanging. You get some compensation, but not enough if you get your knight into e3.
But let's see this. This is actually kind of intriguing, right? We drop a piece off the board, but we're going to get 2 pawns. We've already captured 2 pawns.
And that knight on e3 I was talking about.
I don't
Hitting
know.
3 pieces at once there.
I don't know. That might be...
He's left the position alone.
Guess what? He did capture.
And the Incr does not like this move.
He
but
did.
Gukesh playing hyper aggressively.
He did capture on c4, offered Fabi a piece. Fabi said, not interested. Rook e8, offering a piece.
That bishop has been on g4 for 3 moves. Well, when it landed there, plus the next 3 moves. So 4 moves.
Well, let's
saying,
go.
whenever you're ready to take me, I'm here to be captured.
I am ready. Let's go.
So obviously, if you take knight takes and then knight e3 after king.
King h1, knight e3, queen d3, protecting the little peshkis, and prepping knight d2. You can take the exchange, so you'll have, white will have 2 minor pieces for a rook and 2 pawns.
The thing is, the black's queen cannot appear on the h5 square.
Well, there is this nasty idea, check this out, of the rook making a massive appearance on the e3 square. That could hurt. That could rock your world.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, right?
That's
okay,
definitely a challenge.
Definitely.
And he has taken up the challenge. He has taken the bishop, has Caruana, and no question, I don't even know why he's hesitating. He got to grab that pawn.
He did.
And this position is what I was saying, though. If somehow you could play queen h5 in one felt swoop, just put it there. But
that's a clincher.
It's just...
So what Maurice is saying is if we could play queen h5 in one move, well, it's checkmate. But queen f6, queen g6 just feels way too slow. White will be able to challenge the knight with bishop f3 and take it.
And don't forget that the bishop is on a7, so it's curtailing the king's ability to land on the g1 square. So that's why black is wondering before he just goes all in and plays knight e3.
Exactly. Now, you kind of think white's next 2 moves are almost pre-moves. You want, as white, to play the moves queen d3, protect the pawn on e4, get out of the fork, and then play knight to d2. Once the knight lands on d2, it kind of starts gelling, cementing the c4 pawn, cementing the e4 pawn. So right now, Gukesh has to strike because he's the one who's made a piece sacrifice.
By the way, the other game, Magnus is trying to put on the screws in the formation by getting that bishop to g5, and he says there's a g4 siding as well, right back here.
He did chase him back with a rook lift, and whoo, there you see it. Kicking the queen back with authority. He's ready to play rook g3 in case a queen takes g4. That pawn is taboo.
Yes.
And guess what he's thinking about, too? He's thinking about this is a very serious attack. Magnus wants to play rook g3, f5, and that knight, which is not in the game, knight takes d5, would be, oh dear.
Queen f7 played.
On the board.
And then queen g2 by Magnus.
By the way, same idea, intimating that we're ready to play the move f4, f5, and because we're attacking the pawn on d5, any captures on f5. What?
And Gukesh has played queen to f6 in his game. That one we got to jump back over to.
Whoa.
Because
queen
he decided,
f6.
I don't want no stinking exchange. I want to mate you. What an aggressive stance he's taken.
And this was after a solid think here, because take a look at the time on the clock, right? He's at a just over a minute disadvantage.
Do we believe
up against Fabiano?
I think he made it an intriguing choice. I'm not 100% sure it's the right one, but hey, look, that's as clear as an attack as you're ever likely to see. So let's get some pieces over there. Knight d2, queen g6, not the only move, but let's just see how this would unfurl. This one, I'm okay.
Yes.
Everything is copacetic.
Everything's good.
No problems there.
I think he's thinking, I can always play knight e3. When you're ready, I'll put it there. But let me see if I can pump up the volume in the meantime. And there's also this move d3 that will become possible as well to just unleash the beast on the long diagonal. That is something that his opponent will have to look at. What a daring choice by Gukesh. He said, you know what? This is clutch chess. Last couple of games to go.
Yeah,
let's go for it. I'm going to test my opponent. And in these kinds of time controls, You don't want to be tested. You like to have it nice and quiet.
Right.
That's exactly the thing, right? He's at the very least, he's giving Fabiano something to think about. So after spending about 2 minutes or so to find that queen move, just like that, Fabiano is the one who's down on the clock.
Let's see. Queen to d3. Okay, queen to d3 shuts down d3. Full stop.
And that is what was played on the board, by the way.
It shuts down the bishop, which is very, very good as well. Now, queen g6 is essentially the only move now.
Yes.
Because, I mean, again, and if I play king g1, anticipating queen h5, the problem is my rook is kind of in the way, and when you go queen h2, I'm not happy.
Yeah, so instead, all that's on the board, actually, up to...
Bishop
instead,
h3.
now the bishop comes out over to h3 before the queen can come in with
And
check.
now the whole point is, after queen h5, pinning the bishop to the... You cannot play king g2, knight e3 rocks the world. Got to play knight g1.
But back up one move.
Back up one
because
move.
Here, Gukesh is attacking the pawn on e4.
Yes, he is.
And he can play the move d5 right here, right now.
Yeah. Can he not? He can also just take it with the rook, no?
Well, the problem with rook captures, and I love capturing pawns, is that the queen is overworked. The queen is, on the one hand, defending the rook, on the other hand, defending the knight. But what Maurice is saying is that if you start with the move d5, then you could be threatening to capture the pawn, followed by d3. You've got pawns and a huge attack. Move d5. I think that was just underestimated or maybe just missed, frankly.
But Gukesh spending a lot of time trying to calculate this position. D5 can be met by f5, and he has ignored it. He just played rook takes on e4 instead of playing d5.
I thought that move just failed. Bishop takes d. What am I missing? I thought it just failed. I must be missing something. Is this one of those good morning St. Louis?
Okay, hold on.
Can you...
Well, again, you take the bishop, I take the rook. You can move your rook to e8.
No, but it's queen h3 check in d3, no? Like
queen takes, queen takes, queen check. I'm forced to put my king in the way of the Ooh. But is it?
Now we can discover check.
Oh, no, there's queen takes g3.
check. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, so you've got at least a perpet, maybe even more. I don't know if there's more, but at least a perpet.
At least.
Yeah, with check, king, and check.
That's a shocker. Rook takes e4.
Wow.
This, by the way, tactically alert is Gukesh after that first game.
H3.
He is starting to ball right now, and it looks as though Fabi is stunned by this move. He might be okay. We see the eval bar saying that it's pretty even, but this is not a move you want to see land on the board when you thought you had prevented it.
Exactly. Especially when you thought you had prevented it. So what happens? Knight d2, queen h5. I'm not a happy camper.
And are we seeing something on Naka's board?
I was about to say, this one the computer calls even. It does not claim that the other game is even. In fact, Hikaru is up with about a one plus advantage here.
What's going on? Why can't he just take?
So when we left, it was queen g2. Hikaru opening up things on the queen side, b5, b4. Captures, and Magnus is bringing his knight over to the king side, eyeballing with potential knight h5, bishop f6, stopping that, nipping the idea in the bud.
Oh, there's a crazy idea.
Takes? We're taking on e5? Nope, what? Say it.
He could also take on g5.
Nice, and that's a check.
Yes.
When I take the queen.
Check.
And by the way, don't forget there's a rook a1 sighting.
Whoa.
And Hikaru's saying.
So it would be 2 rooks for a queen.
But look at that rook.
No, you don't want this. If you're white, you were trying to control the game. Nakamura, now super common. Magnus realized that he has made a mistake and he is in trouble in this position. He can't just take back without losing a pawn.
No. He's got to come out with something fancy. How about takes on f6, queen takes f6, rook to e5.
Which is what he's done.
And then the idea is if you take on f4, we hit you with knight h5, And maybe something like this, where we try to coordinate an attack with the knight, the rook, and the queen.
Forcing rook f7 pretty much in
and
this
then rook
position,
takes f4, and I can win my pawn back, and I'm not worse.
Now you're breathing.
Woo.
By the way, Fabi is in trouble in the other game, as we have seen the line play itself out.
Bishop b5 by, whoa.
This
Does
is
that
chaos.
oh my goodness.
Well,
Hikaru.
The thing that matters right now is the time on the clock here for Fabiano.
Okay, I'm gonna
and with
call up
only
the
10 seconds to move,
And Fabi in trouble. He
blunders.
He met that check, that discovery. We saw this entire line, but we saw knight d4 as the best move. I'm not sure he was okay, but now he's played c5. There's possibility of capturing on e2 and then taking on c5.
As well as g3. Gukesh
he's
got 2 minutes.
Everything here for Gukesh. He's dominating this position.
This is the time to pause.
Take
a breath.
Yeah.
And Magnus in trouble as well in his game. This is wild what's happening. Bishop b5 by Nakamura was a monster shot.
How about that? I mean, yeah, Gukesh, who had a slow start to the day, is now just on fire. And Hikaru finding a way to strike back near the end of the day against our current #1 position holder.
If Gukesh wins and Magnus loses, Gukesh is tied for first.
Exactly right.
After losing his very first game. So this is a massive round at the moment as Gukesh peers deeply into the position, trying to figure out exactly what the best way is to play. He is currently...
He's taking on e2. You have to take on e2.
He was a rook and knight down. Now he's only a rook down. We're saying only as Fabi is suffering here.
We had... Fabi had to eat that pawn on e2, and Gukesh is going to take back all the material he sacrificed with interest.
By the way, all. It's rook f2 will happen, right?
Yes. So
and
rook
there
f2,
we go.
And now after rook f2, the queen is going to come back to the f5 square. I love this move. We hate walking into pins, but how is Fabi ever going to unravel? This rook is coming to e2. This queen is coming to d3, and this bishop is absolutely monstrous.
And by the way, he has enough material right now to say, I've got, if I take the rook, I've got full material equality if I take the rook, because it'll be 3 pawns for the knight. But who cares about that when your king looks absolutely terrible? And Gukesh now has been thinking for so long, he's down to 30 seconds.
He's down to 30 seconds.
He's got to move.
Just trying to find the best way forward.
Just trying to find. You better make a move, son. What is this?
Okay, queen f5.
There it is.
Queen
he does find it.
e6. Sorry.
Queen f5 was.
I was thinking the queen might land on the c2 square. He went queen e6. He's dreaming of e3 square. Okay, knight d2, only move. Let's go. Let's go quickly.
No, he's already played king h2. The move has been played.
Yeah, king
he's played
h2.
king
We're back
h2.
over to
I
Gukesh
apologize.
with 10 seconds on the clock, by the way.
King
so,
h2.
Now we are
I didn't see that Fabi had moved. I thought he was.
He's got to move.
We're in scramble
6
territory.
seconds.
Well, rook e2 is a winning threat for Fabi. So you got to take the rook.
He does.
Okay. And
take back with the queen.
b3, causing a major alert.
That's an issue.
Not pawn, but
time to develop. Get that knight into the game.
I always say developing on move 30 is
a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Rook on d8. They're down to now 16 seconds
we
left.
call it the dash.
Right.
Be quick.
I left my mark. All right, well, 5 seconds. Talk about needing to move quick. It's both players needing to move quick here down the stretch.
Gukesh is now taking over on the clock with 20 seconds left. And Fabi down to just 8. And Hikaru, by the way, has defeated Magnus in their game. We will get to that one. But
So
this one is
Magnus.
just edge of your seat excitement.
Magnus.
Wait, what's
his
this?
first
he has a
loss.
check. What?
In the event. Queen e2.
I can't take on c3 because
Queen takes c3.
Oh, because of queen takes c4.
Right, and rook takes c4. And you can't play b2. But now your threat is to take the knight, because then it would work. Rook takes c3 is a winning
check
threat.
on the board and another check
Let's
to trade.
queens.
Is this endgame okay for him? Because
is he getting away with this?
Well, right now, knight takes c5 could be a game winner for... rook takes.
We can't still take the knight?
b2.
Or the
b2 and rook d4.
b2 is rook b4, no?
Rook, yes, but then rook David 4. So b2, rook day
Rook
before.
D4 has to be played to make a draw.
Give me the knight. Give me the knight. You've got to play knight c3.
Brilliant
we'll
move.
trade rooks, and the knight is stuck. Then I can play king g6.
What are you talking about? This could
Knight
be a
c3.
problem.
Can you draw this, giving up the knight, though, for the pawn?
Rook takes b2, I believe, is a draw.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, but now
Oh,
black
is
for
it?
sure is the one with any
extra pawn.
sort of advantage because
It's
of the
an
extra
extra
pawn.
pawn.
He'll try to milk this one
Yes.
for all it's worth.
Definitely Gukesh, pawn to the good, will play king g6, king f5.
Well, the rooks are now tethered to this side of the board, right?
Yeah, but because the active rook for black, I think Gukesh's winning chances are huge in this position. But he has to play quickly. King g6, h5, and king f5 is the prescription for victory. You want to go h5 and h4 as black. h5 and
f5 first, followed by h5 for him.
And now there's this a sighting of rook c5 check. So Gukesh said, no, rook. I want my king on f5.
And at this
And
point, it's
here we
just
go.
essentially waiting moves for Fabi, right?
G6.
I'm going to have to shuffle on this.
Nothing else for him to do. He can't make active moves. Is his problem.
And
So
now
rook to
the
d5?
attempt to come at a different angle by this rook. The move
Maybe-
g5 will happen sooner or later.
But maybe on a good day we can play b5. And Fabi did not want to see a5, a4, rook b5. But a5. Okay.
Now is
rook
there?
c5. Rook c5, and you're running out of tempo. And he's played it.
Does it?
Brilliant moves by Gukesh. Can he keep it up? G5.
He's just
G5.
playing
Top line,
right
top
now.
line.
Ooh.
Look at
This
him
kid
go.
is finding
With
moves.
5 seconds, he's playing every best move.
This is your world champion.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
There's a problem for Fabi. There's a pass pawn is going to happen on one side of the board. He's going to have to worry about a pass pawn on the other side of the board if he ever loses his a pawn, and then the king and rook could just eat him up. But what does he play right now? He's moved his rook down.
Well, he's inviting rook c3 check.
Yes.
Rook c3 check. That looks like a huge, g4.
How about that check?
That was a surprise. Well, he's done
Followed by rook c3.
it. So he thought it was good to get the pawn up the board.
The rook d5.
Well, we've got rook a3, king, rook b5,
Still got to make a
king
move.
e4.
Okay.
Rook. I know. He's done the same thing. So the idea is rook d5. He wants
he's
to go
after the
king
g-pawn.
E5. Correct.
He's after the g pawn. He's
wants
going
to
to play
go
rook
rook
a2 check. Fabi has to think this through, and he's taken. But here comes the king.
Correct. And then there's going to be
you're
checkmating threats.
Oh, this is a
Gukesh.
problem for white, big time. Where do you
If
place
you go
your king
king
right at the
F1,
moment? Because king f3 is next.
You're
King
completely
F1,
disconnected now.
King f3, rook check, king
6
takes
seconds.
g3, rook takes h5. I think that's a losing ending.
Yep.
King f3 is coming. There's no question about it. Gukesh is
There
about
it
to
is.
play it. Rook takes
Wow.
it.
Make threat, make threat.
Dude.
Alert.
Gukesh is looking to do it. He's looking to take a tie
What's this? Can we check
for
trade,
first place.
king, push?
Oh, that's instant win.
Don't we win?
Instantly.
Trade rooks and play king h2?
Correct. That wins on the spot.
And you're tempoing before he ever gets there. Thanks for the check. Give us the queen, Gukesh, with the victory.
He gets it done. A decisive victory. Stellar play out of the young world champion to move up into a tie for first place alongside Magnus Carlsen.
Maurice, we just saw the world champion win, but we didn't see how Magnus lost.
Yes, let's jump back here because that g5 move we saw happen
Was ill-timed.
was very poorly timed. Nakamura spotted it by taking on the square. As we showed that tactic earlier, he could take back on g5. Magnus now in panic mode after trade here, and this move, a fantastic one, disrupting the rook on the back rank because this rook has the A line and would be able to penetrate himself. Magnus had to move his rook off the file he wanted to keep, and that allowed give me this pawn. As their other game has started, we'll jump right to
Amazing.
it. Knight h5, queen h6. Look, black is currently up in this position 2 pawns, and Magnus looking for some play. Bishop back, chasing the knight, bishop g6, queen to g4. I believe Magnus flagged here because the game stop, but a move like bishop f5, he's up a couple of pawns. This knight is hanging. The position is fantastic for Nakamura, and Magnus finally gets punched in this tournament, causing us to have a tie for first. And right now, they're playing a well-known draw line. Look at this.
Hey, Hikaru's saying, I want to keep my mini-match victory over you, having beaten Magnus, and that's it. It's a 3-time repetition. I don't think Magnus was happy.
He looks disgusted.
Yeah, well, he lost the previous game. That's where the disgust came in.
Shaking his head and walking out of here in a huff, it looked like.
Not the way you want your day to end, considering how it started, right? You were the one who set the pace for the rest of the field, and then you do take that first punch to the face, and normally I'd be looking for a fighter to strike back, right? Show me that you still got it. But then it fizzles out immediately into a draw.
I think that was a good decision by Hikaru. I will take the victory and thank you.
Wow, that was
that
huge.
changes the standings.
But it also means if Gukesh wins now, he's in clear first after losing his first game.
Wow, what a comeback that would be.
And he gets the white pieces.
And a draw, he's tied for first. Again, after losing his first game.
But because of the 2 points that are available tomorrow's game.
Oh, it means nothing now. It's kind of a moral victory.
Standings get all
it's more about
shuffled.
the momentum, the mentality, right? Starting off on the right foot. But of course, the days get even more important as we move along. So still now just 1 game left to play, and it will be Fabiano Caruana and Gukesh Dommaraju going back up against each other, just flipping sides of the board here.
For those of you who are joining us late, we just saw a technical endgame victory. But what I really want to point out is the extraordinary attacking prowess of Gukesh in this game. Notice this bishop on g4 has been hanging, and there it goes. And now came queen f6, sublime, queen g6, rook takes e4, bang, 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 and there goes a rook and a piece.
And just how long that bishop was sitting on a7.
Yeah, waiting for it.
Staring into the butt of its own pawn, and then it becomes superbly relevant at the end of the game. When the scope opens up with the discovered checks,
that was how Gukesh
that game.
That's how Gukesh won, was through this amazing attack as black.
But he started like Kasparov in his vicious attacking, and then he ended like Karpov in his technique at the end, and it was so beautiful, the technique, the way he played.
So these are the standings, including that last draw. Magnus and Hikaru, they have finished their day. 6 games played, 3.5 points to Magnus's name, 3 points to Hikaru, currently tied for second. But you'll note that Gukesh and Fabiano still have 1 game to play. So as we mentioned, a decisive victory here for Gukesh launches him up into sole possession of first place. A draw will put him into a tied position alongside Magnus Carlsen. Fabiano looking to strike back, though, and continue his climb up the rankings as well.
It's not a must-win game right now for him, but it feels like a must-win.
And he wants to make some bonus money, too. Everybody else has got some some cheddar. I mean, Magnus, pardon me, Fabi would like to join that circle of people with $2,000 in their bank account.
It would be nice, as we see here, they're playing G3,
classic
King's Indian.
But Fabi, just to remind everybody, has just completed easily the strongest national championships in the world, undefeated, did not get dinged once.
Wow.
He's, over the last 4 games, is it 1 out of 4?
He's lost 3 out of 4, I believe.
3 out of 4, yeah, that's what I mean. I just wanted to say, I studied this position with Lubomir Kovalik back in the day, and Luboš had a very nice idea that eventually became mainstream, c6 and bishop e6. I know that Fabi also plays bishop f5.
Okay, we're going to head over real quick to Anastasiya with Magnus as he's concluded his first day of play here at Clutch Chess Champions Showdown.
Thank you, Dash. Yes, I'm here with Magnus, who just finished his day number 1 in the Clutch Chess. Magnus, your emotions today, how was it playing with this time control, with these opponents?
It was terrible, but I'm feeling like really not good at all. So I will say that I scored like about 2 more points than I should have probably today, and I'm happy with with that, but my might was not working at all today. So yeah, hopefully I can feel a bit better the next few days, because yeah, today my level of play was extremely poor.
Is it something about jet lag, or like just you're trying to come back?
No, jet lag is fine. I mean, I've slept really well the last 2 nights. I just, yeah, somehow after breakfast today, I just started feeling bad. So I just hope I'm not getting sick, and that's kind of my main priority at the moment. Yeah,
of course, we also hope that you'll be feeling better tomorrow. Any moment just which was like really crazy today, you just would like to point out for us?
Yeah, overall the games were awful, but
it didn't feel like this for us.
Really, no, they were absolutely awful, but they were, I mean, reasonably exciting as well. But they, yeah, today just was not fun at all.
Okay, didn't feel like this for us. Thank you so much, Magnus. I wish you all the best, and feel better tomorrow, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasiya. A very disappointed Magnus Carlsen. Sometimes you just have dross and you feel like your mind's not working. It's not necessarily tiredness or jet lag. It's just you're not completely tuned in.
Yeah, but echoing Anastasia's sentiments, we wish him the best. Hopefully
Absolutely.
he comes back in full form tomorrow and can show us more of what Magnus Carlsen is made of. We tune back in here with Fabiano Caruana and Gukesh Dommaraju. As you can see there, bottom of your screens is Gukesh, who's got 3 points to his name through 5 games today and looking to make it 4 and sole possession of first place. For Fabi, though, he's just looking to strike back in some way and keep himself, within striking distance over the course of the rest of the day, or the rest of the event. Okay, well, as we step in to check on this board, we're going to hop right away real quick just to check in with Hikaru as he closed out his first day of play as well. Take a look.
Yes, we're here with Hikaru. Welcome, Hikaru, to the broadcast. How does it feel to play finally over the board?
Well, I mean, I have played some over-the-board chess recently, just not against the strongest opponents in the world. But I think the thing is that it's good to be back. I definitely feel like I'm a little bit rusty. I think it was pretty clear that I was very unhappy with the first couple of games, specifically against Fabiano. I mean, the first game I was unhappy with. Second game I was very unhappy with, even though I won it. And the game against Gukesh, I mean, to be fair, there was a moment when I probably could have forced a draw, but I tried to keep the game going, and Gukesh found some very, very good ideas. And then this last match, it seemed like Magnus kind of fell asleep at the wheel, or maybe it was preparation gone wrong. And I got a very easy position to play, and it actually was the best game of the day. So overall, I'm happy. I think with the format of the scoring of the points as well, there wasn't any real reason to keep going in the final game. So it's a good day.
Yeah, it feels like this, and especially this last victory against Magnus, I guess, gives you extra self-confidence, which everyone needs in such fast time controls.
I mean, I suppose, but I think, again, the format's very unique here, so it's just one day. There are still 2 more days, but obviously it's nice to get a win against Magnus whenever it's possible. So, yeah, it's a good boost of confidence.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming here, and I think it's time to run and check the game between Gukesh and Fabi. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Thank you, Anastasiya. Thank you, Hikaru. Congratulations on your win. The only player so far to defeat Magnus. And turning to Gukesh's position, I tend to think a little bit too strongly about White's position because the C file is already open. If there's a pawn on C4, there's a pawn on C7. I think that White still has a lot of work to open up the queen side. I see the moves Rook F2, A3, and Rook C1, and I just think there's a lot of happy moves, easy moves for Gukesh. B3, now that was a surprise because you can always make that move. Usually you try to play a move like Rook C1 first, but B3 was his choice. Knight C5, plugging up the C file. In these positions, you usually want to avoid this trade because now it's very hard for you to generate queenside play. Black is always looking for his F5, F4 breaks.
I like that last move, though, by Fabi. Bishop back.
Now that's highfalutin. Whoa.
But that's the square it came from.
Well, no, it came from D7.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just meant like initially, like it developed, and now it's going back to reroute, of course.
But what Fabi is trying to do is he wants to force the trade, because once he gets his pawn to c5, he knows that it's going to be very hard for white to just firmly take over on the queen side. And again, you've got either knight h5, f5, knight e8, f5. He's got his counterplay coming, and he's shutting down the queen side. On the other hand, if I have to play knight b5, bishop a6, gosh, I still hate playing the move knight takes c5.
What can you do?
I know.
And he has played knight b5 very stubbornly, saying, I don't want to give you anything on that line. But now after this move,
a4 now?
bishop to a6, what choice do you have?
Yeah, it is a little bit confounding, isn't it? I don't like knight c1 and a4. I don't like a4, knight takes b3. Can I have my moves back?
b3 was problematic.
Mulligan. I'm calling a mulligan.
Bishop c8 was a fantastic, fantastic move.
By the way, for a blitz rapid game, some of the ideas that these players are coming up with are ridiculously good.
But now he has to deal with the pressure on his pawn, on his knight on b5, as now another retreating move.
Nice.
Beautiful stuff by Fabi as he heads to the c7 square with his knight, and will pressure that knight and then bring a rook over and bring everybody over to attack that pin piece. You'd love to have a bishop sitting on c4. That white bishop that's currently on g2 would love to be on c4, but it ain't going to happen anytime soon, that's for sure.
Well, let's try it. I like what you just said. Rook f2. Okay. I'm getting off the pin, essentially. Now, I think f5 is a very good move, but let's say you went for this move. Knight c7. Let's say we go here. Rook b8. Rook b8. And I'm thinking Gukesh can slide his queen over, anticipate. Well, b3 is still hanging. What am I saying? This is still a pawn. It's a pawn.
Right, you wanted to take on a5.
I did, but I forgot about the b3.
And then taking the pawn at the very end. So
somehow when I went queen a2 to defend the pawn on b3, and then I ended up losing it nonetheless.
This position is no fun suddenly for white. He played very calmly with that move b3.
Yeah.
And that tempo loss has now gotten him in trouble because he overlooked the bishop c8, bishop to a6 maneuver.
So did we.
Biggest time difference of the day as well between any of our players.
Fabi.
5 minutes separating them. Fabi's basically, he's playing with his original starting time, essentially.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
One calm move, one teeny tiny b3 calm move has landed him in this trouble, and he realizes it, and now you have to reset mentally because you realize, I screwed up.
I did.
And my opponent is the one with full initiative, as your only task at the moment is to solve the problem of the pin on this diagonal. You don't want to be that as white. You want to be driving the initiative, doing some things. And now you're stuck thinking, I have to solve a defensive issue. And exactly how do I do it in a comfortable way? Because your line, Yas, lost the pawn, didn't work. He's burning a lot of clock. He's in dire straits at the moment.
I'm thinking Gukesh is facing knight c7. So I'm thinking the move bishop to d2 by white at least stops knight c7, however, temporarily, because knight c7 would be an error in this exact moment. Bishop takes a5, walks right into my entire concept, which is to grab a pawn and to reverse roles as to who's in a pin. So I'm thinking bishop d2, you could play if you like, queen d7. Now, this is a little bit different. This is you could be winning a pawn, but in this case, at least you have to give up a bishop. And after you take twice, and what did we see?
He did find the move bishop to d2. We're seeing high-class retreating moves in this game. We saw bishop c8, we saw knight e8, we now see bishop to d2.
Time after time. Now, in this particular case, again, white is anxious. He's just really wants to clear this diagonal. So he wants to move his rook, and then on a good day, move his queen to e1. Once you get your queen on e1 and out of the pin, we could start at least cook.
But bishop f1 is also available.
And we want bishop f1.
So if he could get all of that,
then we got something. But here, I do feel after, queen d7, I can take on a5. Bishop d2 stopped.
Queen b6.
And immediately, rook, that Gukesh is thinking about this move, bishop f1, and he's
is.
played it immediately. And his next move, by the way, is about ready to pre-move queen e1 so that he can play bishop takes a5 with a tempo.
Herculean defense, and he recognized he needed to do that. He had to spend some time in the tank, though, to pull that together.
3 minutes.
He's down to 3 minutes, and he has to play some quick moves. And now Fabi with a nice pin, but it hasn't landed him.
He hasn't scored a material advantage
yet. So he now has to wonder, what do I need to do now? What is the next step here? He's got to be staring down that b5 knight, and he's going to have to come to the realization that maybe he can't win that piece or pawn on that square. What next? Is there an f5 break that he should be thinking about?
It's kind of slow. That will invite queen. So let's just see this line because I hadn't really thought it through. So we're putting as much pressure to bear on the b5 knight as possible. We got to drop back with our queen. Now, again, the desirable knight takes b5 does walk into this, but I have a trick for you. Check it out. Knight d4, and how you like them apples? I've got a fork of my own. You take my queen, I'll take your pawn, and I'll take your queen. So we're going to go back a step, and we're going to take the knight. We're going to take the bishop, and now we can take, and we're okay. Everything's okay. That's a tempo against the queen. If the queen has to drop back, where do we drop back? Now we can take and bishop c7.
Yes,
and
show that line,
good.
actually. Show that line because that's an important line to show. Here takes, and then bishop to c7. Thank you. How you defend your d-pawn, and the rook is hanging as well. We're out of trouble. This is where Fabi just went into a big tank because he realizes, or he's coming to the realization, that he has nothing specific, concrete winning that pawn.
At this exact moment.
Well, let's go back then to your other suggestion, which was an f5, right? If we don't see, if we go through those,
I have one other idea. Okay. Let me take this. I don't know in what move order I want to do it, but let me take, and once again, if we play queen here, we once again walk into that whole variation where there's a bishop takes a5. And
except you didn't take a piece.
Excuse me?
Before you had taken my knight, and you were up a piece when you played this.
So this time I might be down a piece? Like, I see what you mean.
No, you weren't up. You were just...
Right.
Yeah,
you would interpose now a rook takes...
Exactly.
And there you go.
And now you're down a piece at the end.
And now I'm down a piece. You're absolutely right. So this would work out brilliantly for Gukesh, not so brilliantly for Fabi.
And Fabi has literally decided to discard the idea of the pressure on the b5
h5
knight, and has played h5, which looks like a slow-moving train of a threat. Because even if you play h4, I'm just seeing a pawn push.
I'm seeing
all of our pieces are on the other side of the board.
I'm seeing a luft. I'm seeing a bishop h6 sighting. But when you go down the list of candidate moves, h5 is number 6. So Fabi spent a lot of time and was calculating deeply, forcing lines, and came to a conclusion there's no beef in the forcing lines.
Can queen e2 be played now? No.
Queen e1.
Queen e1, excuse me.
Yeah.
Queen e1 be played now?
Yes. I think that's a very good move, in fact.
Seems...
Because you got to get off this pin so that you can threaten bishop takes a5.
And you're actually threatening bishop takes a5.
Yes, you are.
And he can't take your knight with...
The knight...
So it looks like the bishop would have to go backwards? Bishop takes knight exposes your a-pawn.
Right.
Unless...
But where's backwards? Backwards is... Where's backwards? Here? C8, B7?
Yeah, put it on
B7. I don't want to stare into that connect 3.
Yeah, I mean, okay, and maybe something like bishop C4. Bishop D3. Maybe on a good day I can reroute the knight.
I'm sorry. We've been talking about this all this time, and Gukesh hasn't moved. And he finally did move, and he played the move H4.
Well,
that cost him 2.5 minutes, and I'm not even sure.
He saw that slow-moving train and he threw a barricade out in front of it. You know, he parked a bus on the tracks.
I don't like what you're doing, he said, but I don't like the move.
Now F5.
No, this move makes a lot more sense to me because with the pawn on G3, a little bit more vulnerable. The move F5, F4. Don't be trading and opening up that sleeping dragon on the king side.
And he did trade on F5. And man, this position looks scary now with so many loose buttons in the position. Black has gotten amazing initiative in the last couple of moves.
Yeah, that last H4. I thought Queen E1 was an automatic, provoking the bishop to go back, as you were saying. But no, H4, and it cost him almost 3 minutes. 5 minutes to 1 minute. Gukesh.
In trouble.
In trouble.
He would hate to lose the first game and the last game of the day, but he is staring down a very poor position at the moment.
Okay,
Fabi kind of spoiled for choice here as well.
Okay, but Fabi took a long time to make what King's Indian defense players consider automatic recapture. Captures.
But Fabi has weakened the other side of the board. F4 is possible, but he's played the move bishop to G5.
Okay, just a second. Going back, there was a move F4 hunting pawns, but that would have opened up the bishop. He played bishop G5. Okay, Gukesh is mixing and matching various strategies here.
That's usually not a good thing.
No, usually not a very good thing at all, but he has an idea. This D5 pawn may be vulnerable, but knight takes would walk into a pin. Queen C4, I don't think you want that. But bishop E7 is on tap.
And
so rook E8.
And a quick rook A2, getting off that line.
Getting off the diagonal. Yep, I get it. Maybe hoping that the rook will come across the second rank. I don't know if G4 is... No, I can't.
But he no longer defends the A5 pawn, by the way, so that does give Gukesh that opportunity to switch back just in case he needs to aggress that pawn. That pin is still so very annoying. And now F4 is on the board.
I don't like that move.
We see the bar has flipped.
I don't like that move at all.
And a capture instantly on F4.
Whoa! Why? Okay, now I'm really having a hard time. I thought that rook was going to be coming to G2. I thought the queen was coming to E4 with the bishop coming to D3.
And queen C4 played. There was a queen C2 sighting in the position a moment ago. Queen C2 with the idea of going to G6 and bring the rook over to G2. By the way, the rook can go to G2 pretty soon. The white rook.
If you don't mind, I just go... Why doesn't it let me go back? There it is. Rook A2, apologies. It went just a little slowly. I saw this move, Maurice. Queen E4, you can take on G3. I was going to play bishop to D3 and rook G2 on my next turn.
It was an idea, but what he played was considered the best move in the position.
Was it? Okay,
If he had found this queen C2 maneuver. But queen C4 is
so
also...
capturing on F4 was good, but maybe queen C4... Queen C2 was an opportunity. Sorry.
And the main thing being the rook on A2
is ready.
Is ready to swing over.
Oh, bigly.
It is going to be a fantastic defensive piece, or maybe even an aggressive piece that his opponent will have to look out for.
Fabi,
we were at 5-1. Now we're at 3-1.
I was about
in
to
terms
say.
of time. The clock essentially hasn't moved here for Gukesh with the increment. And the position's gotten worse.
Magnus said he played badly today. I guarantee you Fabi's going to say the exact same thing as the rook is now on G2 as Gukesh feels the energy, the flow is going in his direction now as things are pretty much leveled off, not on the clock, but on the board. Wow.
So what is going on here? Knight takes B5, A takes B5, drop the bishop back to B7, playing for rook E5, give me the pawn on D5.
The bishop takes F4, maybe playable there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not happy to take things, but you don't have protection around your king either.
I know. I mean, it's like we're mauling one another's kings here. But okay, it's now 2-1. It was 5-1, 3-1, 2-1. The trend is favoring Gukesh at the moment. I love this move, Rook G2. It's worked out really good.
Rook F5 on the board.
Give me the pawn, says.
Is that legit?
Well, it begs the question. How are you defending the pawn on D5? Maybe that was why the engine liked Queen C2, just to stop this move. 33 seconds for the world champion.
Got to find a move here as his pawn on D5 is hanging and he doesn't have a natural solution.
Bishop D3.
The best move in the position.
Is it the best move?
Whoa,
He's inviting Rook takes D5. He's inviting
What is wrong
it.
with Rook takes?
Bishop to G6.
Yeah, Fabi's in big.
Bishop to G6.
And he has taken the pawn.
Oh,
Challenge. Challenge.
Oh, wait. Bishop F6 we're being told.
Question mark.
Bishop F6 wins. What a move.
I did
If you
see
take
that.
on F6, queen takes F4, and you're getting mated.
Oh, my
Or at least in
goodness.
massive trouble on that side.
Oh, my goodness.
Can he find Bishop
10
F6 in the next 10 seconds?
10 seconds. No,
he doesn't
find it.
He's
And
still,
he missed
still
an
very alive in
opportunity.
this game, though.
He missed an opportunity, but now Fabi, he's got to come back with a move of his own.
Because clear signal, your king is being hunted.
Exactly.
That king H1 says, I might double rooks. Bishop can come on the diagonal, move back, bring the queen on that diagonal, and all of black's pieces are misplaced on the other side of the board. And this is a raging attack, but can he pull it off with 14 ticks left on his clock?
Well, I'm taking this knight and putting my queen on B7, hoping that I've got tricks of both defense and maybe even an offensive cheapo in the position. But I think Fabi's in big trouble.
He's
really big trouble. I don't know what he's supposed to do to get out of this.
But his pieces are misorganized. There's only one thing they're doing, and that king is suddenly a straight target, 58 seconds left on the clock.
Right. But
See,
the time is the most relevant factor here.
The desirable move is rook to D4. But rook to D4 allows queen F7.
And so now, against this
second opportunity,
he could also
Bishop
take on
F6.
F4 and play Bishop F6.
I don't know if he. Whoa.
But he's bent on doubling rooks, still much
By the
better.
way, not bad idea.
No, not at all. This attack looks awesome.
Ferocious, because there's even a queen X-ray in the G8 square. Okay, he has taken the knight.
And he's found
Oh!
Bishop F6.
Wow, a
this
monster
is
move.
Boss, the king is about to be ripped apart.
Double exclam, and Mate 5 is on the board.
And guess who's going to be leading after day one? I'll give you one guess.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm going to give you two guesses in that case.
After losing the first game, he is getting
how kind.
wicked mating attack.
Wow.
He is getting
Bishop
it
F6.
done.
23 seconds for Fabi, and he clearly missed the move.
And he doesn't have a move. You can tell after queen
And
takes
there he-
F4.
whoop.
Look at the queen side pieces for black, and look at the king side. And look
There's
at the king on
nobody
A8. Nobody's home except one lonely bishop, and that cannot stem the tide as Fabi has now slipped under 13 seconds. This is mate.
This is no defense. Checkmate is looming.
All the king's horses and all the king's men could not save Fabiano again.
Bishop G5, hoping that will do the job, but
nothing.
Gukesh is relentless. Queen F6 is coming next as
That's
well.
mate.
This is over.
That's mate.
Queen D8 played. And check. And that's
Oh.
it. Queen H6 will be mate on the next move.
A beautiful mating pattern by the world champion.
Spectacular win by the world champion.
That had Gary Kasparov signature there. You know, remember the Lyon World Championship match where Gary in a Zaitsev.
Yes,
it
I know the game
was
you're talking about.
Thunder and lightning.
And cool, calm Gukesh, and also polite Gukesh, making sure he puts all the pieces back in place before he walks away. He lost a game early, but he has come back. As we see Chess-Base India there recording their guy.
Oh, yeah.
What a day for Gukesh Dommaraju.
You just applause. That was a sparkling tactical brilliancy. I just thought that his play, yes, I agree, maybe Bishop F6 earlier, but everything he did.
Loved it.
Doubling the rooks on the G file, prepping that move. He wasn't letting the victory escape in any way or shape or form.
And he only got better throughout the day.
Exactly.
He only got better throughout the day. But let's take a look at how the whole day went when it comes to our standings, because it is Gukesh Dommaraju holding on to that #1 spot. Sole possession with 4 points to his name, only dropping 1 game, and that would be the way that he started his day. Magnus, we heard it from him himself. He was not happy with his performance today, but he still comes away with 3.5 points and second place currently in his possession. Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano will round out our standings in 3rd and 4th place, respectively. 3 points, 1.5 points as well to their name. You can see bonus money as well with that 3rd decisive victory. Gukesh now moves ahead, $3,000 already in his pocket, and probably plenty more to come over the course of the next couple days. Let's take a look at how that bonus money has shifted, though, coming through our 6th game of the day and final round of the day. It's up to $4,000, and again, we're only amping and ramping that up as the tournament goes on.
Tomorrow is a 2-point and $2,000 a game day, so that will happen. But I got to tell you,
I just like the idea that I'm playing in a tournament with the world's #1, #2, #3, and I'm in 1st place.
I am the world champion of the world. We're using first person like it's us.
I know.
It ain't us.
This guy.
No, look.
He's good.
Gukesh, losing the first game.
And coming back.
That could take air out of you. Just a gut punch, man.
Right.
Do you see how cool he looks? We call Magnus cool.
Yep.
This young man is just calm, cool, composed. Yeah, that game, whatever. And let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, but in a majority of situations, he's actually doing it from a clock disadvantage as well.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, sure, we wouldn't want him to be in that position. But even when he finds himself in high-pressure moments, he still has the composure to get through it.
That traditionally has been his weakness.
Right.
We've talked about the idea that he gets into time pressure. He just doesn't have that flow, that quickness, just make it happen. He's been working on it, and I'd say it's been successful so far.
Right.
Tremendous.
Standings speak for themselves. Yeah, he's in a bit of a rhythm there.
Yeah, for those of you who are joining us late, my goodness, what a day you've missed. And it's just been a fabulous event.
Yeah, you may have missed today, but you don't have to miss the next 2 days.
Right?
So set your alarms, 11:53 a.m. Central Time for tomorrow the 28th and Wednesday the 29th for our rounds 4 through 9. If there are any playoffs or tiebreakers, they would happen on the 29th following the conclusion of our 9th round of games. We'll see if we end up in a situation like that. Now, that all said, we do have Anastasiya standing by with our current tournament leader, Gukesh Dommaraju. Let's head there now.
Exactly, Dash. I'm here with the tournament leader, Gukesh. My congratulations. You're leading right now with 4 points out of 6. I don't know if you checked the standings, but you're the current leader. How this day was for you today?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it started with the loss, but I was still happy with the game. And it was so funny, like that against Magnus in the final position, I had 93, which was not...
Did you know, speaking about this game, after 94, yes, that it's like a draw?
Yeah, 93. It was unbelievable for me, But okay, I was still quite happy. It was just that I missed bishop c5. So, and then the second game was already a clean game. Then against Naka, I mean, pretty much all the games were quite nice, except the last one. I was down on time and I was worse, but Fabi just played f5 and gave me chances. Yeah.
I was watching your play and I was watching all games, and I noticed that especially after this game with Nakamura, which you managed to win, you were like smiling, laughing at one point. Like, what made you smile after you won this game?
After I won,
yes,
I smiled.
Yes, you did. You were putting pieces back and you were like smiling. We caught this moment for our social media.
Ah, okay. I don't actually remember, but maybe I was just happy to get a win.
Very possible. And I mean, everything happens so fast. Like, how do you feel about this time control with 10 minutes and just 5 seconds increment?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's on the border of blitz and rapid, I guess. And yeah, it seems fun, and when you play well, it's always fun. Yeah.
Exactly. You just came from Greece, from Rhodos, where you got 2 golden medals. Then it was a long journey. How do you feel right now overall?
I feel good, actually. I slept well last night, and in general, it's fun to play some rapid after a few classical games. And Yeah, always nice to play against such top players and keep learning. Yeah.
Exactly. Did you have any trick how to switch from classical format now to the rapid? Because you just played with like long format.
Yeah, I mean it's always a challenge, but I guess you just need to be constantly like adapting yourself to the requirements. Yeah, I mean there is, even in classical, there is the long format, there is the short classical and all that. In rapid there are so many time controls, so it's just that you make sure like you are ready for what is in front
next.
of you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think about tomorrow? Because yes, there will be a new day and we have different points. So victory will give you 2 points right now, and every game will have a different stake. What do you think about it? Like, do you have any strategy?
Yeah, I mean the concept I quite like that. I mean obviously the clutch, the name itself suggests that you need to like be ready for the clutch moments. So yeah, it'll be quite interesting, and I guess after all, no matter the points, the things happen on the board. Yeah, so if I focus on that, obviously the points will come.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Gukesh, for sharing all your thoughts, and I wish you good luck tomorrow. Thank you, and congratulations on the first day.
Thank you.
Go back to the studio.
Thank you. Our congratulations as well, Gukesh.
Ever humble is Gukesh. Well, he sits on top of the 3 top-rated players in the world right now. 4 points to his name. And he's sitting in solid position, $3,000 as well in his pocket. And like I said before, some more to come. We'll see if Magnus Carlsen feels a bit more himself tomorrow, because I think that will be one consideration. Fabiano, maybe the person who had the most sour of days here, sitting at 1.5 points, but ultimately taking 4 losses. I think that's the thing that will eat at you more than anything.
Yeah, well, good that there's double and treble points coming up, because he's got to save his victories.
Well, and Maurice, we heard Gukesh talk about it right there. I mean, aptly named tournament, but it's about showing up in the clutch moments. And, from day 1 to day 2 to day 3, the importance and the stakes only rise.
Yes, that was the dream for this tournament, and watching the dream realize itself is incredible, and some chess today we saw. I mean, like you said, you can have all the formats you want, and it's not any likes, but it's about the chess on the board in the end.
Yeah. Well, you heard it from Gukesh. He got a good night's sleep last night. That's how he played so stellarly today. We need a good night's sleep after all of that chess action, so we can come back and enjoy some more tomorrow. We're going to be back same time, same place, and we hope to see you there. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.
Good night from St. Louis. Wow.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.